change that guy's life and save all his future victims from the suffering, why wouldn't you? You know, I feel obligated to talk to them
Right.
because they don't know this. If they knew this, at least they could have a choice. They can make a choice right there and then. But if they don't know it, they'll just continue on violently victimizing peaceful people. So shit, man, I feel like I'm throwing lifelines out there.
Right. And I think one of the powerful things here is that you talk about the moral justification, you talk about discretion, you talk about finding me in peace, just let me go in peace. And those are some of the key perspectives, right? That people, would benefit from learning, like with the cops, right? So when you see a cop, assuming you don't have any, reason that they have some paper, something that they're going to kidnap you, but like, if I'm on a clean slate, I do want to go talk to these guys because I want to capture this video. The challenge is how to capture it, without putting the camera all up in their face, like to record the encounter. But so tell Teresa, she's the first time meeting you, you're the first time meeting her. I got a lot of respect for you both. Tell Teresa the perspective of initiating contact with the cops and what the perspective is, because she's pretty fierce, and we want justice for the kidnapping and extortion and a complete violation of our humanity. So, we're trying to preempt it from ever happening, but after the fact, where it's like, we want justice for these guys in courts. And I'm just like, I don't know how we're going to get justice if like the frontline guys have no care for the law, what their oaths are, none of that stuff. And, she's aware of the voluntarist perspective, as are you, which is that government's illegitimate. You don't have authority over me because you just say that you do. And your Constitution, you don't uphold the Constitution, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth, Fifth, all these things are being violated daily. So that's why I find hope in this conversation of talking with cops till they'll back down and actually turn against the politicians. So they'll turn the politicians and say, fuck you guys, we're not going to obey your dictates and commands any longer. So you want to share with Teresa your success
Which
in talking with cops so that she can get an idea, because you've been doing this for like what, 5-10 years now?
longer than that. I just perfected it into a pitch over time. I mean, I was coaching people who defended themselves in court. I helped them, get the case dismissed or dropped. And then I figured, well, geez, I might as well teach people the way I get cops to walk away. I mean, cops have discretion. They can walk away anytime they want. There's no punishment for them if they do nothing. Well, because people don't put that option on into obedience. They go right into, let me see your ID. Oh, here you go. Now they got the hooks in you now. Now you're a slave. The second you obey, you become a slave. The next time you don't obey, they're harder on you. They'll hurt you, because they're so used to you being obedient. So you got to let them know right away that, look, I wish I could help you, but I can't. Go against my moral principles. You don't have to say it just like that. I mean, you just say, look, I'm not going to do it. It goes against my moral principles. I stand by my moral principles. You respect that, right? And you get the cop involved in it. You always make eye contact, look them right in the backs of their eyes, and just try to offer them a peaceful resolution. I mean, I'm not going to get into all of it. It's detailed and I can talk forever, but you get a peaceful resolution, you can talk to them about anything after that. Once they realize that fair is far better than use politicians' dictates as an excuse to threaten or violently punish a peaceful person.
Right.
Most of the cops I talk to hate politicians, so they're real easy to win over. They're like, well, then why would you use one of their dictates? These things called laws that you and I never agreed to. Did you ever consent to any of these laws? And I've had cops look at right at me and go, no. And I'm like, well, then why would you use those shitty ass people's opinions as an excuse to threaten me or harm me or any other peaceful person? Right? Wouldn't you sleep better at night if you chose the peaceful option every time? And they're like, yeah, well, can't argue with that. And I said, why would you want to argue with that? I mean, I've done this dozens of times. They're absolutely willing to understand. Not all of them. Some of them are pure evil. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are just, but I'm not going to let those evil ones stop me. I'm just going to keep going. They want to kill me. I don't care anymore. I'm going to keep teaching this to people, because if you guys learn how to do this and you teach other people how to do this, then killing me isn't going to stop it. Right? Killing me right now will stop it, or me waking up dead or something, you know. It's I need to get people out there doing this, you know. Get out there with the camera. That's why I said I'll come out there. I'll come out there. You guys follow me with a camera. I'll go right up to the cops. I'll pay for all their meals. We'll find a bunch of cops at a Denny's or something. And as long as they say, look, you let us record this conversation, I'll buy your meals for you, you know. And just, you'll see on camera how these guys are like, wow, this is amazing. It empowers them. Now they're in control. Now they can make the decisions. They're not a pawn anymore. You know, it makes their lives more peaceful. I mean, there's nothing but awesome about this every way you look at it. The only risk is that you may run into a robot evil bastard who beats you up, kills you. There's that risk. A lot of them are very evil.
Right. How would you remedy that? Go in twos, have a woman with you, dress in bright colors, or bring flowers and candy or something? Or, because I don't feel like getting killed talking with cops, dude. That's not on my agenda in this lifetime. I would like to live, you know, and have a great existence and stuff like that. So my conclusion is that when they start getting violent, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to obey you because I'm afraid for my life right now. And so what's your thought process on the psychology of not getting brutalized? Because Teresa was out there basically by herself on the beach, and they called it a disaster area. They kidnapped her, and then she had mace in her purse, and they charged her with selling tear gas. And so,
well, that sounds like a disaster area to me.
Yeah, just ridiculousness. And it's like, you know, you can tell, man, like, this is a huge violation, and she's a passionate, fiery woman, so she's like not accepting this. So anyways, like, as it relates to preventing being killed, I mean, it's just like some of these guys can kill on with immunity. I mean, this is the state of politics and politicians right now, and it's really unacceptable.
Well, I mean, you got to weed them out, right? You want to know if you're dealing with a violent psychopath willing to kill you for disobedience. You know, I want to know right away. Usually they come right out immediately. You know, they won't listen to a word you say. They just start giving you orders and pushing you around, manhandling you. I mean, what are you going to do? You know, you're being mugged by a bunch of violent, crazy bastards willing to kill you, right? I mean, really, if anybody had to lick boots to get out of that situation, I wouldn't blame them, right? I mean, these guys can kill you and walk away. They're very dangerous. That's why it's so cool when I reach the ones that don't realize that their job goes against their own moral principles. It's such a rush. It's such a high when they're like, wow, you're right. I can't argue with that. That's, you know, that's why it's so much better. Like the dangerous ones, you know, I don't know what to tell you, just obey and survive, do the best you can. And like I said, I'm not against other tech. Go ahead.
That was to tell us about what happens when you succeed, because I really felt the excitement when you flip them. What is that like? How does that end up, and what happens in the encounter itself?
Well, I mean, you know, flipping them, it's hard to explain. It's you're reaching someone that, you know, was a robot at the beginning. You got to talk to the human being, and you got them to switch sides. Right now, they'll protect peaceful people from the politicians. And yeah, they let me drive away with no license tag or insurance or whatever. And I get in my car and I see my wallet sitting there. I never showed them my ID. I never obeyed them. You can't let them get their hooks in you. You know, the only time I'll obey is if they clarify a threat of violence. You know, if you're willing to bloody my eye or you know, break my nose or break my leg or taser me or stomp on my head, you know, if you're willing to beat a peaceful person bloody, then I guess I'll go ahead and obey you. But at least we have this on the record, you know, that you're willing to do that to someone who's done no harm. And then you could use that evidence against them with their boss or their boss's boss, or, You know, maybe judge or something, who knows? The public, they look, he had a peaceful option. He chose evil. He's a prick. Get him out of here. It would be nice to get the cops, the good ones, to start pushing the bad ones out. Well, try to win over the bad ones first. But the ones that are really evil, all those guys, push them out and into where they're actually protecting peaceful people. You know, I mean, if there's a war between cops, that's fine with me. That'd be great if we had more cops, one over on our side, willing to go to war with the cops that are willing to harm peaceful people for disobeying their masters. And that's another thing, you know, when a cop gets flipped, you know, you just release them from their master too, right? They're living by their moral principles, not what their job duties or, you know, policy or laws, statutes, blah, blah, blah. You know, it puts them in control because they can use that discretion. They're taught that in training. And so use it. Use it every time you come across someone who's done no harm. Be fair to that person and do no harm.
Right. Have you ever seen a cop get fired for any violence that he's, you know, committed against a peaceful person? I mean, there's rare ones, like we saw. What was the one, Teresa, you sent me? And I don't know, it was like a judge and I don't know, it was a prosecutor, and like it's rare that these guys get fired and they justify what they're doing, you know. So it's like the police union, the federation, the fraternity, they got each other's back. It literally is a gang, thin blue line. So
I don't, you know what, David, I don't remember where that was, in Indiana or something, that they got caught doing shenanigans, but Peggy Hall was just discussing last night that it was the sheriff of Orange County and the undersheriff that are now doing hard time. And I haven't had any chance to research that, but one thing that I was considering, you know, I don't know, in all these videos that I've watched where cops misbehave themselves or they violate people's rights, or, you know, they use violence repeatedly, these news reports tell us that they are not held accountable, that they get acquitted or declared innocent when it's clear in the video that they actually did inflict violence. And so I've just been wondering whether or not that is more propaganda, or perhaps the people are not exploiting all of the options that they should be. But I don't know if all, you know, all of these stories about these cops that just get off scot-free, is it a way to convince the rest of us that there's nothing we can do, that we just have to suck it up on the plantation because the masters are able to, you know, beat us or kill us with impunity, and we shouldn't even bother to take them to court. So at this point, you know, I'm not sure if it's still more illusion or if it's actually true.
yeah, that's a great point. I think the number 3 expense for police departments and cities, it might be lawsuits. So I think it's a really big line item in their budget, but they don't want to tell people about it because then it encourages it. So I think that probably is a possibility for sure, that they put it on the news that, yeah, we got his back. And despite him murdering innocent people on camera with unarmed people, yeah, that was good. We stand by it. So it is that they're trying to demoralize us. Robert, your thoughts on why news channels don't report on cops going to getting justice, or do they just not get justice? Is it just like literally just thuggery, gangsterism? As you know, it's organized crime, so maybe that's what the case is.
You're breaking up.
Okay, yeah, I might have bad reception. The question is the media not reporting on lawsuits because they don't want to encourage it, or are they promoting the lack of justice on bad cops because they don't want to encourage that?
Look, you know, the media, you call the media, I mean, you're talking about reporters and stuff like that and their bosses, and, you know, they're slaves too. They live in fear too. They want other people to be obedient. They want to report things that keep you safe, and so they report obedience. You know, you got to obey. They don't want you to get hurt. That's the way those statists are, right? They're not yelling at you to be obedient. They may be yelling at you to be obedient because they don't want you to get hurt. And I've had my own mom worry about me, you know, and telling me to obey because she doesn't want me to get hurt. So there's a lot of that. I mean, that's that, but that's not, I'm not trying to solve the world's problems here. I'm simply trying to get people, look at it this way. If you can win over anybody who tries to aggress against you or control you, right? Cop, I don't care who it is, IRS agent, homeowners association, asshole, whoever it is that's trying to control you, right? And you're able to stop them by putting a peaceful option on the table and ask them to morally justify not choosing that and get them to commit to a peaceful resolution. And they always walk away. They let you drive with no license. They let you not pay your taxes. They don't harm you for any law. Now, doesn't that make you free? If you can do that to anyone, you're free. So let's start with you. Teach it to someone else. They're able to win over anyone. You can't get out of this. And they let you live without paying taxes, and you don't have to get a license, and you don't have to pay fines or fees or nothing. Because every time someone tries to say, hey, you got to do this, you either win them over or you've done this far enough to where they leave you alone. And that's a win too. You don't actually have to win them over to get them to leave you alone, because they can't publicly state anything. They can't morally justify publicly what they're doing. So it makes them leave you alone. So now you're free. Everyone you're teaching is free. And hopefully it spreads like a virus and more people become free. I can't free the world, but I could free your world. You know, and I think that's good enough.
Right. So
you know what go ahead.
I was just saying, you're talking about developing a skill to speak to strangers about morality and what they're doing, and to justify what they're doing based on morality. Is that correct?
Yeah, but also persuading them to choose the peaceful option. You want to root for them. I do. I so want them to choose the peaceful option and see the light. Now, a lot of them get upset because they've done that for years. They've been violently victimizing peaceful people. And I tell them it doesn't matter what you've done. It matters what you do from now on. If you leave peaceful people, now that you know about this, if you grab it and you leave peaceful people alone the rest of your life, you'll be able to rest in peace when your time's up. You want to win them over. You want to, and you guys will come up with better things than I have come up with. You know, this is a work in progress, and it's just the way I do it. You're probably not going to do it the way I do it. You'll come up with better lines, and I'll be learning from you, and you'll be out there saying, hey, I flipped this cop. I got him. He's going to protect peaceful people now from the politicians. And this is what I told him. And I'll be like, oh, that's a good one. I'm going to use that one next time. You know? So I'm just like, we're all in the trenches trying to teach each other the best way to get these guys to get on board, because there's a war going on right now. And it's the war. Everyone wants to say what side's which side. I'm telling you what sides are. It's the statist slaves against the peaceful people. And most of the peaceful people are obedient out of fear. And they shouldn't have to live like that. And so when people are like, you know, Karens and stuff, the ones that call the cop callers are the worst. You know, these nosy ass people that probably should be smacked right away, but nobody will smack them because of the law. The law protects the Karens, right? And all these people going to jail, they're getting beat. Did you see the guy got chewed up by the dog? They took the dog in there and chewed him up. That's crazy. In the cell.
Yeah.
Did you not see that video?
In his backyard?
He was in the cell. They're taking him into jail, and he's in handcuffs, and they sick the dog on him. There's torture. It's just horrible. You look it up, but it's just, I don't know what this guy did, but all he kept saying was, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? As they tortured him.
Right.
That's one of their techniques, right? They don't tell you why they pulled you over. They don't tell you why, whether you broke a law or whatever. You just start obeying right away. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. They do that to frustrate the shit out of you. They do that to get a rise out of you. They're trying to provoke you. That's what they did to that guy. They refused to tell him why, and all he kept repeating was why. Well, they dragged him into the jail and then sicked the dog on him in the jail cell. It is just crazy, man. You can't let this go on, man. We need to win the cops over. I don't see any other way of winning the war. Is to get the guns that show up when these cop calling complainers get on the phone. You know, 911 could hang up on 90% of these freaking calls because they're sending cops out to punish peaceful people for disobedience. And that's what they do for a job day in and day out, right? We talked about breaking their pattern, and day in and day out, they're violently victimizing peaceful people and bringing in money. And that's what they think their job is. And they think they're good boys for doing it. But then when they can't morally justify it, now we got a game changer. You know, you got to get them in that mood to want to change.
Right.
You can't tell them anything. You got to ask them questions and let them say the answers, because they'll listen to them. They're not going to listen to you. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, no, because it's been so, like, all these laws are unconstitutional. And this is some of the stuff some of the people in this call know. Travel, you don't need a license. Building, selling business, all these things, you don't have to get permission. But we've been brainwashed through the state school system, and now it's like institutionalized. So I like the idea of having an army of moral auditors, conversation creators, people that you know, can do some stuff. Great. We have a question. Awesome. iPhone, you want to say where you calling from and what your question is for Robert, please?
Yes. Hey, it's Christina. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
hear you.
Hi, Robert. Well, first of
Hi.
all, thank you so much for last week. I learned so much. I'm
Oh, you're
actually
welcome.
dating someone who was a cop who retired about 5 years ago. And I told him about, you know, traveling without a license. And I actually did go to Freedom from Government, and I bought 2 of the kits, one with the dash cam, you know, for the plates. Anyway, he was like, you're going to get your car impounded, you know, like, because he was a traffic cop, and he said, oh, you know, that doesn't sound good, Christina. And I was like, well, I mean, you know, he's open-minded, but has that ever, I was just wondering, has that ever happened? Like that, I mean, I'm really keen to learn and get good at on all the, like, I know it's going to take practice, but I'm not scared to do it. I was just wondering if that had ever happened to you.
What do you mean? What? I don't
Or
follow.
to David. Like, did your car get taken away from you?
Yeah, I've had my car stolen from me probably 4 or 5 times in the last 12 months because
Wow.
I'm perfecting the art of conversation. And
Yeah.
as some of the listeners on here know, we have to go on offense. So this is maybe time for a different call because, you know, Robert knows government is illegitimate, you know, and so going on offense, in my definition, is to send the paperwork out there. And if Teresa wants to chime in, she can share, but it's basically notifying them and say, hey, here's who I am, your status of affidavit of status, notice of travel. And if you do this kidnapping, I charge $250,000 for 5 minutes or whatever it is. And so that way you notarize it or get witnesses, you put it on the record, you have the paperwork, you send it to the chief of police, the county clerk, the sheriff, everybody, you send it to them. And now it's on the record. And now you actually say, hey, I'm open. I'm not hiding anything. If this is wrong, then you show me where it's wrong. Otherwise, I'm going to carry on in my private matter, in my private conveyance, and I don't need your permission. And if you do, then it's $10,000 a minute for any time that I'm kidnapped. And I think Teresa's the one who said it's Trevant in city of Tampa Bay. The guy won like $25,000. Was that right, Christina or Teresa?
It's a Trezevant versus the city of Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're so far deep in the game, Christina, right now, that basically we're trying to win in any way possible without violence. Because when we use violence, it now justifies them using violence. Although it's just to have a revolutionary war, right? And kick the redcoats out of our land, out of our house, get off our property, you thugs.
Yeah.
But they have guns and weapons and they control the media. So it makes it very difficult to have a fair shake, you know. I just saw the quote from Malcolm X. He said, the media is so powerful, be careful because they will have you hating the good people and loving your oppressors.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what's happening right now, is that people don't know who the actual good guys are, right? And it's because the media and the propaganda is so heavy. So anyways, we're doing this for our kids and grandkids and the future of humanity
No, yeah.
in general. So we're going to be at
And
risk.
basically, like, you were able, even though you had your car stolen, I mean, obviously you're still alive and well, like you worked through it kind of thing. Have you ever driven cross country with the private plates, or?
I haven't driven cross country without the plates. But what I would do is probably send letters to like every county that I was plotting to go through.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know, it ranges by state, I think. So that's a different conversation, because when I talked
Yeah.
to Robert, I showed Robert, I got kidnapped 3 weeks ago, and I literally, we had the call on Friday, and then I got kidnapped on Wednesday, and the cop comes to the window. I haven't published the video yet because yeah, it's just a really crazy video to publish, but the cop comes to the window and he says, ID, please. And I said, I'd love to do that, man, but it violates my moral principles.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't want me to do that, would you? He doesn't even answer the question. So Robert was giving me some critiques of what I could do. And then I said, hey man, like I know you have a tough job. And if you're out there protecting people from rapists, murderers, and thieves, I'm with you, man. I'll get the guns and I'll come with you, man. I'm with you. But you found me in peace. Why not just let me go in peace? And this is words that I just learned from Robert. And I did have a warrant out because I had a failure to appear. So that was the problem. And so anyways, I escalated up and I said, sir, are you going to use violence on a peaceful person? He's like, no, and no, and no. And then finally the supervisor came and they were going to break my window open. I said, I just want to make sure, you know, I'm only complying because I'm afraid for my life right now. You're going to break my property and then you're going to make me pay for it. So under duress, I'm going to comply and give you my identification. And then they ran my name and date of birth as they do, and saw I had a bench warrant, and then they took me away. And then they actually stole my car, even though my two friends are there with me, two adult friends. And I said, it's their car. They're authorized users of this car. And the cop was a super dick. And that's one reason I feel the rage that many of the people who got kidnapped do. It's like, fuck you guys, dude. You're stealing my car when I have two of my friends here. It's like, it's two sides of the coin, Robert. Like, I want to do peace. And it's like, dude, these guys, American Revolution time, man. Like, you're the redcoats. You're not an American.
So they have your car now?
No, they do not.
They have mine, though. They have mine. They stole mine about a month ago.
I'm looking for you, and here I can only see 2 people at a time. There it is, Christina, right? They have your car?
Oh, no, I was just wondering.
They have mine.
Sorry,
Oh,
no, it's not
where
me.
are you? Oh, there you are.
They have mine.
Okay, they've got your car.
Yeah.
And they won't give it back at all, or they just hold it for ransom?
They're holding it for ransom.
How much?
They're going to sell it on Monday.
They're gonna sell it?
Mhm.
I don't know. I would try making some calls. I mean, you know, you're talking to a bunch of robots.
I already have. I've served a notice of demand to the tow truck company and the thief that stole it, the deputy. And then I sent an affidavit to the sheriff demanding that he arrest the thief, that my rights were being violated. I've just recently again sent them their second notice, which is the courtesy notice to the tow truck company and to the deputy. I went down to the tow truck company on Tuesday to give them one final opportunity to allow me to reclaim my property and all debts would be forgiven. And they didn't take me up on it. And then I just sent FedEx Ground a notice to the manager of the lien sale unit at the DMV in Sacramento, as well as Steve Gordon, who is the director of the DMV, letting them know that if they proceeded to profit off of the sale of stolen property, that they agreed to pay me $250,000 each. So
maybe that's gonna work.
I won't stop until it does.
I haven't had to deal with a situation like that, but I can put myself in your shoes. You know, if they did that to me, you know, I'd try to think of how I would go about it. I mean, I would use my moral approach just like I use on cops. It works on IRS agents. It works on bullies on the playground or abused women. I taught a woman years ago who was in an abusive relationship how to use my moral approach. She used it on her abusive husband, you know? And so like, I would just do the same thing to the people who are holding my car hostage and be like, well, if you can't morally justify what you're doing now, how are you going to do it when I put you on the witness stand? You know, what are you going to tell the jury? What are you going to tell a civil jury? You know, how much you got a nice house, you got a nice business. I mean, I would threaten them. They're threatening you. I mean, they've already used violence against you, right?
I have not threatened them. But
Right.
I did say in the notice of demand, you are required to answer me an affidavit form under penalty of perjury, giving me the lawful justifications for why you could steal my property. And
Yeah, but now you're talking law though. They can interpret the law any way they want. What I'm saying is there are human beings who are holding your property hostage, and those human beings need to morally justify what they're doing. I don't care if it's the janitor at the lockup where your car is. You know, he could open the gate and let you have your car back. He can't morally justify not doing it. What I'm saying is hit the people to get them to morally justify on the record, bring video if you have to, you know, record them on video if you can talk to them in person or do video online or even just a phone
what makes
call.
you think that I haven't already done this?
Because I just told you how to do it. That's why. Did you ask them how to morally justify it? Did you get their answer? What did they say when you asked them to morally justify holding your car hostage? What did they answer to you? Because you act like you already did this, so you must have an answer.
I did already do this. That's what I
So
said.
what did they morally justify it? What did they say to you?
Okay, let me finish speaking, please. So when I went on Tuesday, I said that you cannot nullify one of the great commandments of God, thou shalt not steal.
Never mind.
Pardon me?
Never mind. Not interested in your answer. I asked you if you asked them to morally justify.
Okay, I'm not interested in staying in your meeting.
I'm
then.
not
Bye.
talking about that. I don't want to have anything to do with that stuff. You know?
Yeah, that's too
This is
bad,
how
man. Hey, man, we guys got to get along, man. You guys are strong personalities, Robert and Teresa. Too bad she jumped. We'll see her this weekend. But hey, we got to talk about, you know, respecting each other's different
Dude, I'm
approaches.
not here to preach the sovereign stuff and the laws and arguing the laws. I don't have anything to do with that stuff, man.
Right, but you got to understand other people are in different places. You've been a free man for a long time, and you understand the laws don't mean nothing. It's on a piece of paper. You write it, and it's a law.
They don't care. Dude, these
Correct.
people don't care. They use that as an excuse to harm you. If you're going to sit there and say, well, the law says this, now you're part of their game. Now you've joined in and they have mental jurisdiction over you. The second you bring up the law says this, the law says that, you're doomed. I don't play that crap, man. If you say any law at all, any law, I don't care what it is, sovereign citizen stuff or the God or the commandments, that ruins everything. You're just starting out in a hole and you're hurting yourself.
Well, I understand your position, and it's difficult because Teresa's an awesome lady, but now the conversation ended because she got her feelings hurt, and now she bounced because you're a strong man and she's a strong woman.
Look, I asked her to morally she said she asked them to morally justify it. I have not met anybody who has asked that question. So I was curious as to what they said to her. And then she came back with some bullshit. She didn't come back. She started reading off some sovereign stuff again.
No, she was reading off the Bible. So so I was going to emphasize was that because I asked her, before this call, I asked her, I said, well, Robert's approach is asking him to justify the moral approach, morality, the moral justification, not the law. Because when I told you, Robert, that when the cop comes up and says, I'm not a driver, I'm a traveler. You're like, forget that. It's about morality. It's about morality. And I finally got it after talking to you for, a few weeks in a row. So this is our first time, and so I really hope you guys can be friends in the future. If you come out here,
well,
she's one of our friends at the bonfire.
It's not about not being friends. I don't know her, but I've trained a lot of classes for sales, And if somebody stood up and started preaching their way of doing it, I'd have to cut them off, because that's not what this is about. It's not about the way you did it. It's about the way I did it. You want to go create a new way, that's fine with me, but I'm not going to sit here and be taught, you know, the things that don't work. It doesn't help our conversation.
No, I hope we were going to talk about, because you've done it 30 times and you told me you've had success 20 out of 30 times. She's done it twice. And, you know, she's concluded after 2 times that, you know, it doesn't work. And so like I told the other lady, I've been kidnapped probably 6 or 7 times the past year, different jurisdictions, right? Different counties, different cities, different, you know, things, but it's all because I don't identify, and I ask them questions and I don't comply. And so,
Right.
and so it's like, okay, well, we're going to arrest you for what? For resisting arrest. Are you kidding me? 148A in California? Are you joking me? So they did it to me in San Jose. They did it to me in Vacaville. And these are all separate counties. So I got different court cases going on, but just like we're talking with Christina earlier, like, yeah, you might have your car stolen. Okay. But if we say silent now, we're done for sure, right? It's like there's 2 types of fear. There's one fear that paralyzes you, and there's one fear that motivates you, you know? And so I don't want to be a slave. Go ahead.
All these things that she listed, all these filings and begging of her master, one is apparently none of them have. You know, so
Right.
she's basically teaching you what not to do.
Right. So this is the point, is that we want the video of it, man. So I hope you come out here. We'll get some video of it. We'll find the hidden camera so we can go do this and get it on camera, because I want to see you flipping these guys where they're like, you know what, sir? Yeah, you have no license, you have no plates, you have no registration. I can't justify it. All right, go on your merry way. You know, I would love to see that one. That's going to go viral, and that's going to like really help inspire all of us out here. But I know I'm standing on the truth. This is my body, you know, but these cops are trained to be absolute thugs. And I didn't hear the whole story with Christina there, but I did hear that you were, you know, in relationship with a cop. So, I mean, anyway, so.
Well, he's retired. So he's like, I asked him, I said, hey, you want to talk to Robert? Because Robert wants to talk to cops. And, you know, he still knows a ton of cops. But he was basically kind of like, oh, I've heard about Sovereign. And I'm like, no, it's different, you know. And I told him I'm an amateur, but from what I've heard, I'm all for it. Like, at this point, I'm not complying with anything, you know, like, I'm done. So
He would, I'll tell you, he'd feel better answering these questions, searching his soul and making a commitment. His life will improve dramatically. You know?
And he's already, here's the thing, I want him to talk with you because he's already a great guy. He's very soulful. He actually told me that every single time he, you know, gave tickets, he arrested people, they would actually thank him. So he sounds like a good guy. You know what I mean? Like, as good as you can be as a cop. When he was a cop 5 years ago, like, he was a hardworking cop, and like, he wasn't an asshole, it sounds like. So, I mean, I wouldn't be dating someone who was. So, you know, anyway. I have one more follow-up question for David, though. David, you mentioned like a couple months ago, you had the dash cam and you were approaching a toll booth, and you kind of made it sound like you weren't going to pay the toll, but I never really got to see if that worked for you or not.
Oh yeah, I have no plates on my car. I when I drive through tolls, I enjoy it because I get to save $5, but then I got to drive through as a free man, you know. And
but, like, but how does it open for you? The little gate?
Out here, it's not. Are you talking about a toll on a freeway?
Well, sometimes you go, you know, like sometimes there's gates. Oh, on a freeway, there's never, I guess you're right. There's never, I don't know what I was thinking. Okay. So there's no barrier to entry, to crossing that gate or crossing that toll.
Yes.
Like, do you stop and talk to someone, or it's just automatic? You just drive.
On the freeway, you just drive through. What they normally do is they take a photo of your license plate, and then they mail you a ticket, you know, in a few days. And they say, hey, the toll was $5 or $8, but you drove through, so you have a violation. Now it's $30. And if you don't pay that, and it's another $20, and they actually try to get $70 out of you for not paying $5 on a road that was paid for by your gas tax money anyways. And these public-private partnerships, these cities get together in. Yeah. So, but the biggest thing we have to deal with is the fear, right? This is the biggest challenge because we've been so programmed that I'm afraid, I am, like I'm doing something wrong. I'm the victim, or I'm the, I'm the criminal, but I've done nothing wrong and I'm violating the law. I mean, like obeying the law, so this is stepping into your sovereignty, right? And that's where Robert had a challenge. I don't know if did we lose him, but he doesn't talk about voluntarism, sovereignty, nothing. All he says is, how do you morally justify using violence against a peaceful person? Please, I'm curious, just, and he tries to stay on that thread because, if you bring up sovereignty, oh, you're a sovereign citizen, right? You bring up anything and it gets off track, so that's why.
Right. You're giving them an opportunity to label you something, right? When you do it that way. Right. Now, if you talk to the human and ask them to morally justify, they have to search your soul and come up with an answer. They're not being told what to do, and they can't label themselves. All they can do is come up with an answer. And some of them struggle. I've had them think about it for quite a while, sitting there for a very uncomfortable minute while they mull over my question, but I'm sure to not say anything because the next one that speaks loses. I want to hear that answer. I don't care if it takes them 5 minutes to come up with it.
Well, I gotta tell you, I love your approach. People have always told me I'm a good salesperson. So I really feel like once I get the language down, like I'll kill it,
That's awesome. I need sales.
You are
people.
Gonna kill it.
Training. That makes the training quicker if you know sales already.
I mean, it's just easy. Like, well, I can only sell something I'm passionate about. You know what I mean? Like, I got told several decades ago. They were like, "Oh, you should sell pharmaceuticals," and I was like, "I would never." You know what I mean?
Selling cops freedom is right up your alley. What'd you feel about selling cops freedom?
So, Robert, can I? I'll email you, and I'll try and set up a call with my friend. Because he's kind of, he's also, if you have some time to spend a half hour talking with us or something, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime, call me. I'll stop what I'm doing, just like I did tonight.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think I want to emphasize, Robert, your good heart and commitment to this, because Robert knows that humanity is on the line right now. I mean, once they do forced vaccines to travel, the game is over. Right now, you have to get the injections into your body. So the urgency is really now, and so Robert knows that. So that's why he's going very straight and very clear. I think that's a really exciting component of it because it's not vague. Robert, you're a strong communicator and a strong persuader, and there's huge value in knowing that we have to focus on the morality, the moral code, the moral compass, right or wrong. Robert, you want to talk about how you say something to the effect of, hey, just forget the job right now. Just talk to me as a buddy, talk to me as a friend, like we would on the porch backyard or something like that.
Well, yeah, I've said that. It's been a while since I used that one. There's so many, you can't use all of them, you got to be careful and pick and choose. But yeah, I would be like, hey, why don't you just do me a favor, pretend it's your day off, talk to me as a human being, fair enough? And they're like, yeah, okay. Now they may be lying, you never know. You gotta be able to identify the strokers, and you do that through questioning, which I can get to later. Like I said, it's involved. But once you get them on board, they're like, they love it. They love it. I cannot forget the cops that beat me up and nearly killed me, hobbled me. And I'm laying there bloody in a cell wanting to quit doing this. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore if they're going to beat me up, man. If they're going to try to kill me. But then I started thinking as I recovered the next 2 or 3 months in a hotel room, I'm like, I couldn't get it out of my head. All those cops that shook my hand and thanked me. All the cops that I changed their lives and that are living peaceful now and leaving peaceful people alone, using their discretion and being good people. All those cops that can sleep good at night now. And it's only a handful, though. It's only a dozen, maybe 2. I want it to be hundreds or thousands would be great. We can get it in the millions would be nice. It's my dying wish is that you guys get out there and get it up there, get the numbers up.
Well, yeah, Christina's down. I'm down. Look at Michael's down, perhaps. Maybe Chris, maybe Darcy, maybe Benjamin, maybe Elise, maybe iPhone, Jules, Julia, Justin, Piper. Because I think us on this call and us watching this video later, we realize it is game time, my friends. It's time to come down from the spectators, down from the bleachers, to get on the field, to come talk with the cops. And some of you guys just got on and realized that Robert, when he sees a cop, he's like, oh, I want to go talk to the cop. Whereas regular people like us are like, oh shit, the cops, man. Put the seatbelt on. Put them, put it away. And so it's a different mindset of saying, there's a cop, I can go help him and his future victims. Maybe he's beating his wife. Maybe he's kicking his dog. Maybe he's, abusing substances and he's hates his life. So it's almost like a crusade of some sorts. Robert, would you agree to that?
I don't know. I just, I know I can reach them, man. I don't talk to them. I try to reach these guys. I'm reaching out to them and offering them an olive branch, man. I want them to get on board with the peaceful people and start protecting us. I know that they're brainwashed. I know that they're ignorant of stuff and that they don't want to learn shit. I know there's wide range of cops out there, from evil to good-hearted. They're in everything in between. You don't know who you're going to get. But if you can get them to commit to leaving peaceful people alone the rest of their life, you'll save them, their future victims, and it just draws me to it. Like I said, I can't change the world, but I can change people's worlds. You start doing this, David, you get it on video and cops are shaking your hand and getting on board and making a commitment. I was even thinking of having one they could sign, a commitment to peaceful policing. We can print something up for you. And then once you got a video out there, I'm telling you, man, thousands of people are going to be out there doing this. They're going to do it better than I've ever done it.
I agree. Yeah. So I was talking with somebody the other day about hidden cameras, because when we go and talk to the police and we say, hey, sir, what's your name and badge number? They start getting like defensive and they start, like this. Now they know they're about to go on the internet. So we got to get some type of, sunglasses.
All right, imagine you're going door to door selling stuff, right? And they open the door and you put a camera in their face. What kind of reaction do you think you're gonna get?
This is my point. So this is what we're looking for, solutions. So we got to find hidden cameras or solutions. So you guys, 11, 12 people on this call are smart, intelligent, freedom loving people, I would assume. And so we got to come up with solutions. Robert doesn't have all the solutions, neither do I, but we have to get the language, get the strategy, philosophy, the words, and then we got to get it on camera, because then that's just going to really blow it up and let people like, oh my gosh, they can't justify what they are doing, and it's on camera. And so that will go viral in other cities where it's like, we're not afraid of you cops. We're going to come with our words, with our video cameras, and we're going to let the world know that you cannot morally justify what you're doing, which means what you're doing is criminal. You're part of a criminal organization. So stop. You guys, part of these criminal organizations, stop what you're doing. It's not okay to use violence against peaceful people, no matter how many people sign a piece of paper. You can't justify that. So I think that's why it's so exciting for me, because
they should have to be able to. Remember, prosecutors do this. They put their victim, the defendant, on the stand, and they say, you had a chance, you had an opportunity, you had another option. You could have done this. How can you morally justify not doing that? They do this already. All I'm saying is do it to the cop right there on the spot, so you don't have to go to court, so you can win that cop over and he can start living a more peaceful life. And if we can get more people out there doing it, that's the best thing right now is for us to get some sales under our belts. We got to get some cops on our side advocating this.
I agree.
So the sooner the better. Somebody said they had some sheriffs I could talk to. I'll be glad to talk to them.
Yeah. So yeah, Christina, just so you know, you can find Robert on peacefulpolice.com. You can find him on Facebook. If he wants to put his phone number or his email in the comments, feel free to do that, Robert. But he's like the guy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I have the number and the email. It was a busy week because I'm moving But I did a peaceful protest at the farmers market in Rancho Mirage near Palm Springs today. And there were 3 deputies who showed up, and 2 out of 3 of them, were pretty cool. And I got all their cards. So they might be interested in something like this. I talk to cops all the time because I never wear the face mask. And so I'm out there a lot getting escorted out of places and having conversations. So, I mean, it's a good thing in that I'm meeting a lot of police people. So, yeah.
Awesome. Let's get it going, because the more I do this, the better I get at it too.
Yeah, so just so everyone knows, Robert's happy to talk to any cop, any prosecutor, give them some notice, set up the appointment, and he'll talk to them. And they'll set it up before via Zoom call. He even offered some money in the past for their time. But hey, we just want to ask you some questions. And that way
They can capture it on video for the rest of the world to see.
The cops that I've done this with, they most of them seem to like the challenge, right? They've tried to argue, the law of this, the law of that. And I tell them, I'm not talking about the law, I'm talking about how you'd morally justify this to a jury. That's all. It's a real simple question. I mean, if you go to Joe Lopez, you can see how he folded, if you want to watch that video. But I needed another 20 minutes with him to try to win him over. He was tired, I was tired, I got a late start, but in the end, he admitted that he can't morally justify threatening or harming peaceful people just because the politicians wrote up a bunch of scribble that never asked anyone for consent. It's endless, right? They say they enforce the law. Yeah, okay, how many laws are there? They don't even know. Go ahead, tell me all the laws so I know from now on. Well, I don't know. They don't know, right? So, I mean, this is just a violent gang going around punishing peaceful people for disobedience, mostly. Yeah, they go after violent people here and there, but come on, half the rapes, half the murders aren't solved. They're not out there solving crimes. They're out there generating revenue. They're out there making our lives miserable. We live in fear. You got to get your license, get your tag. Don't forget, get your insurance, get this, because, who wants to live in fear like that? You do whatever you want. If you hurt someone, pay for the damages. Keep it simple. I'm not preaching anything new. I mean, this is pretty much stuff we learned when we were 5. Play nice, don't steal, don't don't fight, don't any of that stuff. Just don't do it. I tell cops all the time, I mean, if I can't do it, how can you morally justify doing it, right? If I can't morally justify doing it myself. So you got a badge? Okay. I had one cop argue training gave him the right to threaten and harm peaceful people. It's in the training. Abracadabra. You now have a moral right to harm people that have done no harm. It's ridiculous. And yeah, they'll come up with all kinds of stuff. I've had arguments, they label me a sovereign citizen and start arguing the argument that they've always used, right? Trying to pigeonhole me into this sovereign stuff. And I'm like, I got nothing to do with any of that stuff, man. I just know right from wrong, which I assume you do too, right? And you want to do the right thing, right? It's very powerful. We just got to get some sales under our belts on video. Well, I mean, even if it's not on video, even if you flip a cop without video recording it, hey, you get the experience of doing it and you'll be better at it the next time.
it's trial and error. This is so my protocol for getting pulled over is turn the video camera on, lock the doors, roll up the window, get your paperwork. That's my protocol. So until I find a better protocol, I'm going to keep doing that. But I always record. So I got the dash cam, and then I also have this camera with me. So I have the dash cam, I have this camera, and sometimes I have a friend with me and I'll say record. So you have different angles to document if they're going to violate you and we're going to do a lawsuit, then we'll do that. Or for learning. So now we're learning a new method, and that is the moral justification method or the moral approach. I just posted your links here, Robert, themoralapproach.com, moralkungfu.com, Joe Lopez highlights, video calling.
Oh, those are just the links of stuff that some video or interviews and stuff that I did. the moralapproach.com, there's nothing really there. And I got peacefulpolice.com. And if anyone likes to build websites, they're free to build one for us. I don't have anything on them. I haven't had time to deal with them. I mean, like I said, I just really want to get a video of a cop on board, and then we can take off from there, is what I was thinking.
Right. So yeah, maybe it's going to be Christina, or maybe someone else will have somebody that they want to put on camera with you. A retired cop is nice, but you know, an active cop would be, I think, superior if possible. But in any case, let's get somebody on the phone with you answering questions about morality, and then they can tiptoe around, because and somebody can do a role play. If somebody wants to role play with you, I've done some role plays with you, and I've enjoyed it, and I've sharpened, you know, my language and learning abilities, listening abilities with you. But if somebody maybe somebody new wants to role play getting pulled over, role play being accosted for having not a permit to fix your roof or anything, because what we're talking about is right and wrong, and they intentionally keep it out of schools. And Christina has a comment, something here. Christina, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say I would love to role play being pulled over, because I mean, I tried to kind of practice some of the language from last week about like the moral, you know, it's still kind of tinny. Like, I don't know how to say, like, how do you morally justify? So I would just love to practice that with Robert.
Nice. All right, so we'll set up the scenario.
You pulling me over, or am I pulling you over?
We could do it like in an hour or whenever. I'm driving, so I'll be home soon. We could wait on me, but I had to say, okay. I definitely want, I would love to do it, because and I'll get my notes out.
Yeah, just text me and let me know. Give me a time, you know, at least like a half hour heads up.
Yeah.
And then we could do some role play. It's always fun, and you'll learn a lot. But
Yeah,
if anyone wants to role play now,
if no one else wants to do it, I'll do it for the benefit of the audience. Michael did it last week. Thank you. Chris was here. Richard. We have Jules, Julia, Justin, Piper. If you guys want to do a role play with Robert, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to raise your hand or put something in the comments. Otherwise, I will take leadership and volunteer and expose myself as a driver. No, I am the cop. Okay. And today it's Officer Rodriguez. Okay. Badge number 12345 11 1600 PC code, all that baloney. Okay. All right. So, all right, sir. Got you clocked. You're going to 72 and a 65. I need to see your ID and the registration, please.
no, I can't do that. I wish I could, but it goes against my moral principles. I'm sorry.
You're sorry?
I'm sorry, man. I can't feed your delusion of authority right now.
Sir, I'm going to need your license and registration.
You're not even curious as to the delusion of authority I'm talking about?
Yes, sir. What is the delusion of authority you're talking about?
Well, do you believe that you can morally justify harming peaceful people for disobeying you?
I'm not using violence against a peaceful person.
Have I done any harm?
Yeah, you committed a crime. Like I said, you got 71 in a 65 zone.
Who's the injured party?
The state of California.
Really? How's it injured?
Well,
Does it have a limb?
It's very dangerous to go, you know, we have the speeding limit for a reason, and we got all the engineers, they map it all out. You know, you can't go over 65. So you could have killed somebody. You know, I'm saving lives out here, you know, writing tickets. This is what I do.
How many lives have you saved? Can you give me their names?
Well, today must have been 5 at least. I've given out 10 tickets. That was deadly, lethal drivers going 45 in a 30 zone, man. It's incredible.
Well, now, wait a minute. You made a claim that, you know, I injured the state. I was wondering how the injury, was the state okay? Is it in the hospital?
Sir, this is the law, okay? I'm going to need your license and registration, all right?
And if I don't comply, are you willing to resort to violence when there's peaceful option on the table?
I'm not using violence.
All right. Have a nice day. And leave peaceful people alone from now on, okay? Thank you.
All right, sir. Bye-bye. See, so I had him for 20 minutes, like 3 weeks ago, and then he'd go back to his car and then come back to the car. And I was actually talking to the camera. I'm like, see, he's conflicted. He doesn't know what to do. And then the sergeant came over here, and you see the look in their eye. You see they walk with their authority, and they got their hands behind. They got the little stick back there, and I can feel my intuition. They're about to break my window and throw me on the ground. So I can feel it, and that's what I would say to the viewers, listeners. When you see the glisten of psychopathy and sociopath in their eyes, it's okay to obey. You don't want to. They're going to break your window, and they're not going to pay for it. They're going to break your shit, and they're not going to compensate you for the damage which they harm, even on video. They're not going to do it. So I'll say, under duress, fear for my life, I'm going to comply and do all these things.
Well, I say I'm going to obey, just like I would obey any armed mugger in the alleyway. How does that make you feel?
So you'll say it just like that. I'll obey, just like any armed thug.
Just like a mugger, like you're an armed mugger in an alleyway. How does that make you feel? Or would it feel better to leave peaceful people alone?
That dude, I hope this is all recording, man. Exactly. This is so what you're seeing here is that Robert's been practicing, and I would like for somebody to give him some curveballs. I'm having a ball out here, but someone else can give a crack at it if you want. Maybe if you want, Michael, since you're gonna do the right to travel stuff as well. If no one else wants to do it, I'll do another scenario. Or what's the scenario? Anybody would put in the comments? Jules, you direct message me. Okay.
Hey, David, I'll take a sample.
All right,
at that.
thank you, Chris Novak. All right, so you're the police officer. What's the scenario you'd like to set up for Robert?
Yeah, talking on a cell phone and speeding.
Okay, talking on a cell phone and speeding. All right, go ahead, sir.
Okay, so sir, I'd like to see your driver's license and registration, please. You also have expired tags.
You'd like to see it. Well, thanks for sharing with me. I'd like to leave. Fair enough.
Let's start over again. Hand me your registration and driver's license.
Oh, it's a demand. Oh, I
It's a
see.
demand, absolutely,
Okay.
because you are violating the law. Clearly posted speed limits. You agreed by driving on this government-provided freeway that you will comply with the law. So you're in violation of your own contract.
Don't really know where to go over there, but I'll go, hey, you got evidence to prove your claims? I'd like to see that evidence and the witnesses to back it up.
The evidence is your driver's license. Please hand it over immediately.
How is that evidence?
It's evidence, your signature's on there, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but what is that evidence of?
It's evidence that you are complying with California Vehicle Code, CVC 18242, sub A.
Really? I remember when I got this piece of paper, I signed it and they said, is all the information correct? I'd missed the part where there were hundreds of thousands of laws. Was that on the back?
It's in the small print.
I mean, it's a fun conversation to have with a cop, but go ahead. That's not really my moral approach, but I like talking about that stuff.
So
Yeah, because a lot of people think that the license is evidence. Well, with evidence in court, Ossifer, if we took it to court, it would need a witness to back it up. Who's your witness?
It's your personal signature. It is a self-authenticating document.
Right, but you need a witness to back up any evidence in court. Let's say we go to court and I put you on the witness stand. What evidence are you going to provide that's going to convince the jury that your claim is correct?
That my claim of what? That you're speeding? I've got a radar gun. I've got a record.
You claim that the laws apply to me.
Oh yeah, everybody who signs off on this driver's license, who is paying registration fees to the government, that is a complicit, tacit, contractual, bilateral agreement.
Okay, so you're saying that contracts me to doing what? To obeying, and if I don't obey, that I could be locked in a cage? Is that what you're saying?
First of all, let's get on a first name basis. What's your first name at least?
You can call me at least.
Okay, Mr. Minimal. We'll have a little fun here. That's okay. I got all day. I'm on overtime. You're paying my wages. So if I see a madman walking down the road foaming at the mouth, carrying an axe. He has not harmed anybody, but I will intervene. I will take him down because he is a harm to society. You, sir, likewise. I think I smell alcohol on your breath. And some funny smoke came out when you rolled down your window. So you're speeding, you're talking on the cell phone. You are clearly equivalent to this man with an axe walking down the street, deranged on a hot August summer day.
Okay.
Come on, give it to me.
I'm a man with an axe, huh? Okay, this is unusual. So I have no response for that yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and take off. Have a good day with that.
My foot is in front of your wheel. You better not.
Your foot's in front of my wheel. I'm gonna leave in reverse then. Take care.
It's a wheel chock. I've got one foot on either side of your wheel, sir.
All right.
I'm trying to make the road
how
safe.
can you?
I'm
how
trying to
can
make
you
the road safe, Mr. At least. I'm trying to make
All
the
right.
road
Well,
safe.
you tell me. How is threatening peaceful people with violence making the roads safe?
You know, if you were driving drunk and crossing over the double yellow line, that would not be peaceful at all. You're threatening people. This is like an attempted crime. There are many crimes like attempted robbery, attempted murder. They weren't successful. They didn't harm anybody, but there was an attempt. So that's a crime. People go to jail for it all the time. You're attempting potentially to harm people with the way you're driving.
So I have the intent to harm people. Are you trying to say I'm drunk and swerving?
Yes, I'm trying to say you're drunk.
Well, I don't know if my moral approach would work if I was. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. But as far as like what you were asking before, have a good day. I'm leaving. Move your feet from my wheel, I guess.
And have you ever, okay, I'm leaving the cop role. Has that worked where you're like, I'm going to leave them if you're not going to?
Yeah, if you got nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. Have a good day. And I've left them standing there just, what?
Thinking, deer in the headlights.
Well, yeah, because they haven't heard this stuff before, and then they got it. And a lot of them like being challenged. They like to try to defend what they're doing. So it's like an opportunity for them. So I let them have that opportunity to defend it. And then I say, hey, yeah, I see how you see that. I understand how you're looking at that. But now try looking at it this way and tell me what you think.
Got it. So you establish some rapport with them.
Yeah, I try to befriend them.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to prove them wrong or beat them up or beat them or best them. I'm really trying to reach out and say, hey, come on, man, it's better over here.
Intellectually spar.
Yeah, I mean, they may talk all kinds of stuff like that. You just got to kind of think on your feet and try to get it back to what's really going on.
Do you ever recommend saying, officer, I thought you wanted to race? Does that ever work?
Thought you wanted to race? I'm all for joking around, getting them to laugh. Yeah. You can get them laughing right away. It's so much easier to ask them to morally justify what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done it many times. I mean, I jump out of the car is what I've always done. I don't want them in my car. I don't want them towering over me. I lock my door. I have my camera in my hand. And I stand on the side of the car and I talk with my hands so they know I don't have a gun or nothing. I don't want to hear the get your hands out of your pocket crap. See, if you give them an opportunity to give you a command, now you're in a danger zone. So try to eliminate all those opportunities for them to control you. Right? You just want to talk.
Yeah.
Huh?
So rolling down all the windows and putting your hands outside of the door, which is again not a good start.
No.
Too complicit. Okay.
Look, put yourself in their shoes. If you have this delusion of authority and you went up to somebody that was doing that, what reaction would you have? And if it's not a reaction that you want them to have that makes them susceptible to being won over, then you don't want to do it that way. Right? Like look what I did. I wouldn't answer the door. I opened the door and there's a bunch of cops. I've been doing this for a while. I even have cards that say peaceful police. I've been winning cops over for years. And I opened the door and there's all kinds of cops out there and I don't even know where they came from. It was my hotel room. And I just shut the door right away. I thought they had the wrong room. It looked like they were looking for terrorists. There were so many cops, cop cars, and some guy screaming. I'm like, and instinctively, I just shut the door. I'm like, they can't be at this room. And that's all it took. I shut the door on them. And from that moment on, they were determined to teach me a lesson. You don't shut the door. Contempt the cop, right? So it got me almost killed. And like, so if obedience is going to keep you from that kind of violence, then obey, right? Like now I'm so scared. If that happens again, I'm opening the damn door. If I'm going to get an ass whooping, might as well get it over with now. You know, I guess. But I'm talking about the cops that we can win over, the ones that really do want to do a good job, the ones that got in with good intentions and were trained into being revenue generating bastards that beat up anybody who disobeys any. And think of all the cops who probably were pretty good, but now they feel that power, right? Somebody disobeys them and then they just bark at them and then they drop to their knees. It's like, ooh, wow, this is cool, right? So now they're getting off on this power. But it also gives them an opportunity to back it up and stop doing what they've been doing and start living a good life. And like I said, you got cameras, it's on the record. You want it on the record, whatever their answer is going to be, you know, and then you want to use their answer. If they choose violence over peace and they can't just morally justify it, you use that as evidence to try to actually persuade them or persuade their boss, win over the whole sheriff's department or police department. I've always thought of doing that. If I could get in front of them in their morning meeting, I would surely give them something to think about. I think they would all have really good days after a good meeting with me. Look, I'm not asking something new. Cops used to do this. They did this when I was 30, 40 years ago. They would leave peaceful people alone, mostly. The town of 30,000 I grew up in. You know, you've heard cops say, look, don't make me arrest you. Come on, man. They didn't want to. They wanted to walk around and drink coffee and do nothing and show up only when a violent call. And that was fine. So now if it's been done, it can be done again, right? They can stop this tyranny, this, you know, through robbing us blind and locking up peaceful people. Most of the people in prison never hurt anybody, all in the name of the politicians. And it's like, damn it, they're just as enslaved as we are with these politicians and their bullshit. It should be easy to get them on our side. And it pretty much is. It is pretty easy with the guys that had good intentions. The ones that don't, I'm sorry, I got to keep warning you. There's some evil ones out there. But you know what? There's probably evil people that work for other companies too, you know, Best Buy or whatever. There's always going to be a percentage of very evil people. You just don't want to give any of them badges, right?
And qualified immunity. It's like they're the hall monitor in school, you know, and says, oh, I have a badge. I'm the hall monitor. Oh, yeah, yeehaw. No, you're a human being and you don't have any extra rights over me. So I think that's a great conversation to have with it. Is there any other things you would say to somebody? Let's say the politician angle. I think like the thickredline.org with Howard Lichtman and his team, I think is beautiful. They're trying to empower the local sheriff and sometimes city cops, but it's mostly the sheriff to organize and say no to the cops. I mean, the politicians. What are some of the things you say when they say, well, if you want to change the law, go change the legislation. I don't make the laws, I just enforce them.
Well, you know, who makes the laws, right? Who writes them? Who's the actual person that writes them? I mean, it's not even politicians, right? Mostly of them are written by, you know, paid contractors for corporations and stuff that create all this crap. And them hating the politicians, I found that out one day after I was already flipping cops. I was like, I realized I hated politicians so much. And I'm like, well, there's an easy draw right there. If neither one of us ever consented to any of these politicians' bullshit. And you know, another thing I get into is how many laws do you need, right? I think I told you this before. We sat around and like 20 of us or so, trying to come up with laws. Like if we were, let's say a cruise ship sank and there was a couple thousand of us on an island, we sat around the bonfire coming up with laws. And the most we could come up with were 13. Nobody could think of another one. And which led you to say, well, anything above 13 is tyranny. It's somebody, some politician writing something up and saying, if you don't do this or pay this or obey us, we're going to violently harm you. And we wrote it down. So now it's okay for us to do it. That's every law past 13.
Well, I'm learning about common law. I'm curious what your take is. I learned there's 4 types of law: tort law, contract law, trespassing, and breach of the peace. And, you know, like breach of the peace is yelling fire in a crowded theater. Trespassing, going on someone's property without permission. Tort is when you harm the person or the property. And then contract law is when you have a contract and you break the contract. So those are the 4 types of law through common law, which I just learned about recently. So that's 4. I don't know what the other 9 would be, but I'm sure they're very unique, rare situations. And
I'm talking about how many laws would you create? Like, don't kill, don't rob, don't rape. You know, how many laws would you have against violent acts? We could only come up with 13, whereas there's thousands of laws now, and it's just all bullshit. And it's all bullshit because I never agreed to any of it anyway. Neither have you.
Right.
But we're talking about these guys mostly punishing peaceful people for disobeying all these dictates. Most of the people in prison never hurt anybody. And look, why would you even need a law to do that anyway? If there's someone going around raping women, lock them up in a fucking cage. You don't need a badge to do that.
Right.
There's nobody going to hurt you if you caged up a rapist.
Right. That's right.
But going around caging up people for disobeying your dictates, now you're a madman. You're insane.
Right.
But put on a badge or, you know, call yourself a politician, and all of a sudden you got supporters and they're rooting you on and throwing money at you and licking your boots, and it's insanity.
It's a cult religion.
No, they'll defend it. They'll hide their crimes. These are very dangerous people. I'm surprised I'm still doing this. They're freaking terrifying, man. Some of these cops can't wait to kill me, to shut me up. They don't want it changed. They want it just the way it is. They want it even worse than it is now. Most of these cops can't wait to get tanks and drive them down the street. Sickening. This will weed them out. They'll either have to get on board or they'll have to leave. All we need is to get in one sheriff's department. I like sheriff's departments better than police, you know, because they're supposed to be law and land and all that stuff. If we can get into one sheriff's department and get them to do this. And I got close once. I talked to the guy that does all the training up in Niagara County, New York, and he loved it. Now, this was like 5 years ago. He goes, this fits in right with our de-escalation training. And I was like, you don't even need de-escalation with this. This is like no escalation training. You know, you don't have to relearn something. You just stop doing something that's harming people now. I should follow up with him, but yeah, I'll be glad to, and I'll be glad to talk to a cop. If someone's in trouble, just call me and hand the phone to them and I'll talk to them over the phone. Until we get some people trained out there doing this.
What's your number, Robert?
What's that?
What is the telephone number? 800?
Oh,
I'll text
it's,
you. If you,
Okay.
want to put, if you want to put it on video, we're recorded right now, Robert, or you can put it in
let
the
me,
text.
yeah, let me give you this other number. That way I know it's somebody that needs help. It's my Google number. I forget what it is. Let me look it up. But that way I know it's somebody who needs me to talk to the police for them, or prosecutor or whoever. Judge. You can be in court and hand the judge a phone. Say, here, talk to Robert. He'll tell you.
So you guys were talking about, you know, some training recently, and I missed the early part, David. And is Robert going to come down and do another training kind of thing, or what's
Yeah, so this is our 3rd one, I think, officially. We've done a couple of them, but we're going to do this every Friday until Robert says no. He might make a visit out here to California. because he knows about the freedom communities we have out here, and how we're, we know we're on the front line of tyranny and freedom, consciousness. So yeah, as far as I know, and we can talk later, Robert, but 3:30 next Friday is going to be on again, and we're just going to keep doing it because we have to train each other, like role play. Wasn't that helpful, Chris, to do a little bit of role play?
Absolutely, and to switch the tables even. I like the way you played, David. You took some of the experience you had, and I'm curious how you'd react, Robert, and you did a good job.
Yep. Right.
Thank you.
So we're getting better. We see Christina, she's going to do it, maybe next week, or, get her friend on board, and who knows, Michael or Richard or anybody. But once we have the words, because it's just like sales. I don't know. Some of you guys have been in sales, like, okay, go sell this product. What is it? Right. So they got to train you on the basics, and then you go get rejected. And then it's like, okay. And then if you're lucky, you get to go to a mentor and watch him sell it. Says, oh, that's how you sell it. Got it. And then you put your own twist on it. You put your own angle on it. And that's what we're selling. So that we're going to make a course, I think, with Robert eventually, which is how to sell peace to the world. And we're going to talk about, please justify using violence against a peaceful person. Anybody, please try to justify it.
So how to
Well,
sell peace,
that's just the. Go ahead.
how to sell peace to a peace officer?
Yeah, right. It's getting the people trained to do this. It's not easy. I keep telling people this. It's like people think that after 3 hours they know how to do it. They got it. No, you don't. There's no way I could teach anyone sales in 3 hours. If I hired you at a company and I taught you sales, it'd take me 2 weeks coming in 4 to 6 hours a day. I let people go early a lot of times, but you got to learn the effective way of doing it. And then, like you said, but the way I say it is you got to create your own character, use these lines that I've used that are powerful. And then you'll start coming up with lines on your own that are powerful, maybe even more powerful. And then we all work together. Just like if I joined a sales team, I would work with other salespeople and we would always tell each other what worked. We would use it, incorporate it into our scripts. This is the same thing. We're trying to sell these guys. We have to feed off each other to make this as good as it can possibly be. I'm not coming out here saying I have the answer. I'm telling you that I found something that works really good for me. I mean, really good. And I'm still doing it. And they can't stop me. And I feel as free as I can possibly be, knowing that I could win over pretty much anybody who tries to challenge me on this. And the best thing is that I win them over. I don't just tell them off like, hey, I'm free, get out of my face. I'm like, hey, I'm free, join me. Come with me. It's great out here with this freedom, because it sucks, man. I know how enslaved these people are. I wasn't as enslaved as them, but I was like going along with it too. I know that they're ignorant of what's going on, that they don't know. That's why I like to put the option on the table and say, hey, look, this is an option. And then they at least get a chance to choose. They've never had that chance before. Hey, you want to become a peaceful person? Here's an opportunity to do it. And like I said, I don't tell them anything. Telling's not selling. I get them to pull up the answers and listen to their own answers. And that's what wins them over. They basically win themselves over through their answers. I take very little credit, but it is pretty funny when they leave me alone. I love it.
Right. That's a really important point, because in sales, like you said, I'm going to say something, they don't believe me. But if you ask questions and they say it, now they have to believe because they said it. So that's a really key fact.
And I bring that up later on when I'm talking to them. I mentally etch what their answers are. So later on, I could say, oh, well, wait a minute. Earlier, you said you agreed to a peaceful resolution. Were you lying then or are you lying now? And I'll joke about it. I won't put them on the spot and try to upset them, but then I'll always bring them back and say, oh, come on, you want to be peaceful. You want to choose the peaceful option so you can sleep good at night and your family will be proud of you. Fair enough? Anything like that. You can throw all kinds of stuff out there, be creative.
I like the lightheartedness too. Somebody said comedy. Chris was a funny one. I thought we were racing. That would be a great one. I thought we were
Yeah,
racing. You know?
I like
That's
it.
hilarious.
I liked it. I think it would get a laugh. It'd get him on the right foot. Yeah. I mean, it's who do you want to see when you see that cop? Do you want to see his good side or bad side?
Right.
If you want to see his bad side, argue with it. If you want to see his good side, win him over. You know, that's just what you're gonna do, you know? And if he comes up bad side, there's nothing you can do about it. If he comes up as a robot and starts bullying you and treating you like shit, then you know, hey, safety first.
Right.
But most of the ones I've talked to were very receptive, and I even like the ones who argued with me. I like the challenge, you know. But I always get that commitment to a peaceful resolution first, so we can talk without that threat out there. I've had cops say that they have to arrest you. Oh, I have no choice. It's my job. I'm like, well, wait a minute. When you went through training, didn't they tell you that you have discretion, right? You have, and they're usually like, yeah. I say, well, then how do you morally justify not using your discretion with a peaceful person? Just curious. You're like, what? What do you mean? Morals are different. Everyone's subjective, blah, blah, blah. So I don't care about other people's morals. I care about yours and how you can morally justify it. You're the guy with the gun. You're the guy that thinks you have a moral right to threaten and harm peaceful people for disobeying your orders. And I'm just wondering how you can morally justify it. And if you can't, why wouldn't you become a peaceful police officer from now on? Like I said, you could play with this. You can make your own, you write it in your own words. But as long as you get the point across that you're trying to get them in a position where they can't defend what they're doing and leaving them an option that makes it, you know, something that they want, right? That they crave is being peaceful. And if you have a camera, I always tell them I have a camera running and I'm documenting this, you know, so that also puts them where their answers are being recorded. So even if they're an evil person, they tend to answer, even though it's a lie, right? They don't really mean it, but they choose the peaceful option, but they're just faking it. But hey, who cares, right? They're walking away, leaving you alone. Works for me.
Yeah.
That flashing light out there. Cops might be here right now. You might get to see it live.
Yes. Yes. Live streaming, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, dude. I don't know why I won't give this up, man. It's just I keep thinking of all these cops that really like this. And it's like this has got some teeth. And every time I see a video of someone cracking their window and talking about the law and arguing with them, it hurts me. It's like, man, if they only knew what I knew, they would have a chance right now, an opportunity to win that cop over and on video, right? They could do it on video. Instead, they break the window, drag them out and beat them up. I almost feel responsible. Almost.
Almost. Yes. You're responsible for all the cops out there harming peaceful people.
Yeah, because they don't know I haven't promoted this. It's my fault.
Well, that's a good point, man. Yeah, that's a great point because as leaders, and you guys are all presidents and CEOs of your life, you're responsible for your world that you're living in, whether you have kids or not. You know, it's called intergenerational freedom. This is what we're building, passing the torch like a baton in a race, right? Like, oh, pass the freedom torch, Robert, pass the freedom torch, you know? So we're responsible for the shit show that's happening right now. Or our parents or our grandparents, at some point, somebody's got to say, I'm responsible for this. And it's easier in a smaller town, harder in a bigger city, but still, we can win the hearts and minds of people. And that's what we're doing. You know, with free hugs, we've been doing this 34 weeks in a row. People love it, man. It's about 98% positive out there, man. People honking, waving, hugging, crying. And one time, or, you know, 2 or 3 people will flip us the bird. And we say, yeah, love is number one. Love is number one. And, you know, sometimes somebody will come up in our face and you're putting people at risk. And we say, sir, who's responsible for your health? And they stumble around. So having the questions ready to go is really helpful. So I would say, Robert, based on what I've learned from you in the last few weeks, is that the first words we say are very important. So what would you say is your favorite openers when most likely we're getting pulled over, right? I mean, this is the thing. Show me your ID.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I like what you're talking about. You're getting out there and getting together with people and doing those things. It's great, right? If you had this down and mastered this, it would be so much better. But, you know, look at it this way. This isn't something that requires what you're doing. The people that learn how to do this and they practice and they role play and they get good at it, even if they don't go out and use it in public, they can use it for their own life, right? The child custody cases it works with, you know, other family issues and domestic violence and child abuse and stuff like that. It's a way to take the evil person and give them an option to become a peaceful person without using threats or force or manipulation, but getting them to really search their soul and just become that new person, right? So yeah, it'd be great if everyone got out there in force and showed this off, but right now I'd be happy with just people learning how to do this for themselves, because once you're free, you'll be a living, breathing advocate for freedom, even if you don't protest, even if you're not an auditor or anything of that nature. But I tell you, boy, these auditors, if they learn how to do this, their numbers are going to go way up.
That's right.
If we get some of them auditors to learn this.
Oh my gosh.
They got the guts to get out there and talk to these guys, man. I really would like to teach them.
That's right, because that's the most difficult part, is to go talk to the cops. And now we can revise the script, and so they can start selling peace instead of confrontation.
Yeah, getting them on video, winning them over. I mean, I'm telling you, the cops that I've won over, they laugh when they have to admit it, because there's no way out of this. The only way out of this is to admit you're a violent piece of shit. Who the hell wants to admit that? You know? They just love it. They're like, yeah, man, I'm in control of my own life now. I like it. And you know, if I was a YouTuber or something like that, I'd have all kinds of videos, but I'm not. I was just doing this for my own personal freedom. I didn't want to get a license or a tag because I don't like being extorted or threatened with violence. I can't morally justify standing in line at the DMV. So I'm just living my life. I'm not trying to be an activist. You know, I had one cop say that. What are you, some kind of activist? I'm like, no, I just want to be left alone. You know, I'm a good guy. I help people. I don't hurt people. So how can you morally justify harming me? How about we just resolve this peacefully? Fair enough. They're like, okay, sounds good to me. I mean, it's really not that hard. You know what you're doing, I guess.
That's beautiful, man. I agree with you. I think there's a lot of people watching live and later that are just like, I'm a good guy. I don't harm anybody. So what's going on? So they flipped it. So, and we're flipping it back. And we're going to say, you know, please just tell me how you justify morally, you know, using violence against a peaceful guy. You know, please tell me. And I'm really curious.
Yeah, you know, I always say, like, imagine you're on the witness stand. Most of them have been on witness stands, and say, and I asked you this question, which I love to do to cops on witness stands. What would you tell the jury? And I've had cops just lean back and smile and just go like, I'm not answering that. I think Lopez did that too. He's 32-year veteran state trooper running for sheriff. And I got him to do a Zoom video, my first one. And he did the same thing. I'm not going to answer that. That's funny. You can't morally justify it. When you say I can't answer that question, you're saying I can't morally justify it. It's the same damn sentence.
Right. Either you're a peaceful guy or you're a violent guy. And I'm going to ask you directly right now on camera for the whole world to see.
Yeah. Which one are you going to go with? Which one will make you feel better at night? Right? Which one will help you sleep at night? Becoming a peaceful person or defending the evil things that you've been doing and continuing on violently victimizing peaceful people and making peaceful people live with fear in their hearts and the tyranny that you're spreading. No, wait a minute. You chose peace, right? Is that what you chose? I knew you'd choose peace. Yeah, you gotta kind of bump them into it sometimes. Come on, man. You know, nudge them into it. Choose peace, you'll feel better. And a lot of them walk away because they can't justify it, so they just leave. But that's a win, right? They didn't arrest me, they didn't take my car, they didn't cage up my dog, they didn't beat me up. It's like, it's a win, even if they just walk away. But yeah, I follow them to their cars, I try to win them over. They're like, no, don't leave, man, there's more. Wait, there's more. I feel like an infomercial.
Hey Robert.
Hi.
Hi. So, but once again, did your car get impounded ever or no?
Oh yeah, they caged me, my dog, and my car. Arrested
Oh
all
my
three of us.
That's horrible. When was
That's
this?
crazy. That was up in Georgia a couple of years ago, and when I finally bonded out of jail $3,000, I had to go to the impound yard and sneak under the fence and break into my own car to get my cell phone.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe they did that to me. Oh yeah, I was gonna quit after that. I'm like, holy crap, I couldn't believe. And I have business cards, Peaceful Police. I tried talking to him. He was like a robot. There was no getting through to this guy. They locked me up. And in Georgia, if you don't have a driver's license or tag or insurance, it's arrestable. They throw you in jail. In Florida, they give you a ticket. You know, you get a ticket for a suspended license. In Georgia, they lock you up.
Okay, but you didn't quit.
I can't. There's too many. This is too good. I can't shut up about it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to kill me.
Okay.
They're just gonna have to.
I feel the same way.
I mean, come on, look, you're taking on to this. You master this. I not
Yeah.
only saved you from their threats and violence in the future, but I saved all the people you're going to teach. I used to say this in sales. It's like I sold security alarms, and I always felt like every alarm I put in could save a life. And I'm like, well, on my own, I could put in about 30, 40 alarms a month. But as a manager, as a general manager, I could put in hundreds by hiring people and teach them how I do it. This is basically what I'm doing now. I'm
Mhm.
flipping these cops, I'm selling them, I'm winning them over, and I need other people out there doing it with me. And once you're out there doing it, that's me just spreading this out. And the thing is, I think you'll do it better than me. I really do. I'm not that good.
You're pretty charming. Like, I'm sure you're a good salesman. So
I try, thank you. I talk too much though.
no, I don't know why I still can't get the morally thing,
What do you
like
mean?
I wouldn't mind doing
Hey,
the role
look,
play.
I'm a peaceful person. Let me explain that. I've said this to cops. I'm a peaceful person. Let me explain. I've never harmed or threatened to harm another peaceful person in my life, and I never would. And I can't do it because I can't morally justify it, right? Now, I'm just asking you how you can morally justify threatening to harm a peaceful person like me for disobeying dictates I never agreed to, that I never consented to in the first place.
Okay.
All right, so you can say it in different ways, though. You don't have to say it just like I said it. You can just say, hey, look, how can you morally justify threatening a peaceful person with violence? And let them think about that. That could be an opening question. If you see a cop standing around doing nothing or eating breakfast or something, say, look, I just had a question for you. You know, I'm trying to understand law. Maybe you can explain it to me a little bit, right? So how can you morally justify threatening peaceful people with violence to force them to obey politicians' dictates? Now, that might be a lot for them to understand, so you may have to say it slower, or you may have to repeat it so that they can understand what you're saying. But it's a question that really is pivotal for them to come up with an answer. You got it? So how do you morally justify threatening peaceful people with violence?
How do you morally justify threatening a peaceful person with violence?
Yeah. So I've done no harm, so I'm a peaceful person. So how could you morally justify threatening me with violence right now? And a lot of times they'll be like, I've had cops like, I never threatened you with violence. I've heard that many times. And I'll be like, well, now wait a minute. If I don't obey you, you said you'd lock me in a cage, you'd chain me up and lock me up, you'd arrest me, right? He goes, yeah, but an arrest isn't, oh wait, I'm sorry, I did that after. His response was, arrest isn't violence, is what he said. And I said, so chaining me up against my will and locking me in a cage and holding me for ransom, could you tell me which part of that isn't violent?
Yeah.
Right? and he's like, and I said, how about you found me sitting here being peaceful? How about you be fair about it and be peaceful in return? Fair enough? Or something to that effect. You're just trying to keep it fair, keep it even. You're peaceful. They're becoming violent. You don't want to shut them down and make them feel bad because they may get more violent. You want to kind of win them over and say, hey, look, don't you want to do the right thing? Come on, man, I'm rooting for you.
So I know you said it's important to say the first things you say is important.
Yeah, you want to break the pattern and get them on, defending themselves morally. You want to show them there's a peaceful option. There's certain things you want to do up front to start the conversation.
Like I know you said
You want to get a resolute. You want them to commit to a peaceful resolution too. So hey, I can count on you to resolving this peacefully with me, right? And I've had cops like breathe a sigh of relief and shake my hand. So you want to. I think you write these things down, but like you want to put the peaceful option on the table. You want to offer them, what is it? You want to get a peaceful resolution, a commitment to a peaceful resolution. But I'm missing one. So you want to do the option, and then you want to do, I'm a peaceful person. How do you morally justify it, right? So, so peaceful option, morally justify it, commitment to a peaceful resolution. And then that's where the interesting conversations start after those, I guess, 3 steps to get it going, to break them down, to get them talking to you about these things. And geez, you can talk to them about anything. You can start talking about sovereign, this, that, or natural law or whatever. Doesn't matter because they've already committed to a peaceful resolution. So you're pretty much free to go after that.
Mhm.
If they try to stop you and say the law, this and that, say, well, wait a minute, you just committed to a peaceful resolution earlier. You even shook my hand. Now what are you doing? How can you morally justify choosing the violent option? You may have to go back to step 1 and bring them back up again.
Okay.
I'm sorry it's so complicated. I wish it was simple, but I'm just trying to give you the basics.
Mhm. I mean, I'm getting the hang of it.
But you got to practice it. Let me see your ID.
That would be against my, I'm sorry. I'd love to, officer, but that would be against my moral code. What do you say?
I usually just say, look, I wish I could, but it goes against my moral principles. You understand, right? You wouldn't violate your moral principles for some stranger telling you what to do, right?
Can you explain that moral principle though? I'm just curious.
No, I can't morally justify it. I don't live my life by thinking I can't morally justify doing that, right? Like I can morally justify stopping some rapist or robber or murder or something like that. I can morally justify harming them, to save others, but I can't morally justify obeying somebody who has delusions of authority and thinks I'm a slave.
Okay.
Can you morally justify obeying people that would do that to you? I mean, if I did that to you, could you morally justify obeying me? I've done that before. I put it back on them.
But of course, I mean, they are slaves, right? Like they're like, if you ask it, they're like, if you ask a police officer to show you their like badge, they do, right? Because that's like their job. I don't know.
Yeah, but the badge is meaningless. If I ask for a badge or a badge number or something like that, then I'm condoning that a badge. I'm saying, okay, well, you said you have a badge number this, so that makes you, you're kind of confirming they have authority over you for them, right? I mean, just asking them for their badge number. I don't even want to talk to that guy. I don't want to talk to any human being who has a freaking badge number.
Yeah.
I want to talk to the person, the human being, the guy that can defend what he does when he's at home with his friends, family, and neighbors. And most of them, I mean, yeah, a lot of them are jerks. I know. I'm talking about a majority of them, hopefully, but they live pretty peaceful lives. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's some charming ones in my area. I will say that.
Yeah. And I want them to treat me at least that good, right? I don't want them to treat me as a subject. I don't want them to treat me as a citizen or anything that they believe I need to obey them. Look, I'm trying to win them. I tell people all the time, I'm standing on this island, I'll call it moral high ground. I'm surrounded by a cesspool of legal and procedural bullshit, and everyone's throwing shit at each other like monkeys at a zoo. And I'm trying to bring this cop up onto moral high ground with me, or judge or prosecutor, whoever it is, so that they can see how bad it is that they were swimming in that shit, right? So that they can look around and go, wow, it's so much more peaceful up here. Yeah, it is. Now we got to get the rest of those assholes out of that shit. We got to start pulling them up, get them up on moral high ground. Be in a place in your life where you can morally justify everything you're doing. If you can't morally justify it and you have to legally justify it, well, you're just an asshole tyrant, right? Yeah, I can't morally justify, but somebody wrote some shit down over here that says I can do it.
Right.
Well, I don't want to say, hey, there's some shit written over here that says you can't, because now it's open to interpretation. They can pretty much say whatever they want anyway. If it goes to court, the prosecutor will have their interpretation, the judge will have his interpretation, and everyone will argue, and they'll finally decide that you're going to pay regardless. Somehow you're going to pay, right? They're just the lion's den, and they're sucking you into this world of shit. And the first thing if you obey right away, they got you. They mentally have jurisdiction over you. They don't have to prove it with evidence, no witnesses. There's nothing that has to be proven. The fact is that you obeyed when they told you to do something. So now you're expected to obey forever. The whole process. I can't do it. I can't obey unless you clarify your threat of violence against me. Please tell me, how bloody are you going to beat a peaceful person to prove your point? Or would you rather choose the peaceful option and leave this peaceful person alone? Sound better for you? Sounds good to me. Try to nudge him into it.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll be great at it. You just got to get some practice. You get out there and do it. I wish there was a place we could call where a cop. I thought about calling like 911, right? But they're not. It's different.
No, Robert, Judy came up with a great idea. Monday morning, if you're down, and you're welcome to join us, Julia, and these other people, Richard and 29998, to call up the DA for the county up here, because I have all these counts. They're all non-violent, victimless crimes, obstructing justice for asking questions, no plates displayed, evading a police officer, all these cockamamie, trumped up charges.
Dude, you're a freaking poster boy for this shit. That's great.
So 8:15, okay, 8:15 Pacific Standard Time on Monday. Are you game?
Yeah, let's call them up and let's see if they can morally justify it, and see if we can't win them over to lead peace. I want to hear them. We can record this, right? Because I want to hear them commit. That's when I know I got to win, is when they commit to being a peaceful police or peaceful person. Doesn't matter, whoever we're talking to. But when they say, yeah, I can't morally justify threatening peaceful people for violence, and I will never do that again. And that actually happened to me about 5 years ago with an IRS agent trying to shake me down for money for my handyman service. I talked to her for an hour and 20 minutes, and then I never heard from her or anyone ever again. I regretted not asking her to burn my file, but I think she did. It's pretty cool. But she understood. She was like, yeah, you're right. I can't argue with this. They all do that usually. I mean, unless they're evil tyrants. Remember, there's always those. We're talking about guys that'll actually talk to you. Don't get this confused. I'd hate to see anybody go out there and do this and the cop like beat them with a baton or something right after they ask them for a moral justification. Be like, oh boy, you might give my method a mad name. So don't do that.
Right. Well, we're dealing with trained killers, man. And it's sad to say, and some of them are good. And I have friends that were, state patrol, local cops, sheriffs. They're good guys, but it's in a smaller town. And so, after you go to military and like you go in the war zone, so some of these guys, they got to go to LA or like some urban area to get trained on how it is in the real world. And then they come back to Smallville. Now they still have some kind of, like I was, when I got kidnapped a few weeks ago, getting the keys out of my pocket. He's like, slow down there. Don't put your hands in your pocket. I'm like, I'm getting the keys. You know, they're so jumpy because they're trained. They're trained. So we have to be aware.
Well, wait a minute. Let me stop you for a
Talk
second.
with your
When
hands. I
they
got
say
to
get
that.
your
Talk with
hands
my
out of your
hands. Go ahead.
wait, when they say get your hands out of your pocket, it's them establishing control over you. Okay, it's more of them establishing control than it is for their safety. It's just an order they can give you to get you to obey them and get you used to obeying their orders. That's why I talk with my hands. I don't want to give them an opportunity to do that, right? Like if they caught me with my hands in my pocket, I don't know, I might make an issue out of it. Like it's just sitting there in my pocket. It's not hurting anything. Are you scared for your life? I don't know. I might come up with something like that. But that's why I just do this, so I don't have to
That's a great point.
come up with something, you know.
So this is at another part of the tips and tactics. Either, you know, sit like this or talk with your hands or talk like that or something, but don't put them in your pockets because that is going to become an issue. And we're trying to pull them up to high ground. They're down in the cesspool of shit and we're trying to pull them up to fresh air and clean water and everything up here. So just some other, you know, little side notes that I'm making mentally here because we're going to get this out to the world, man.
Well,
you know, as best
you want to make eye contact. Remember, that's very important. You want to look in the blacks of their eyes of the person you're talking to, right? You not like a psycho stare, but just a caring right through the blacks of their eyes. Say, look, man, if you just, to me, in my mind, I'm just like, man, if I could just get you to see this, you would love it. You'd love it. You know, if I could just get you to just understand it, I know you would choose a peaceful life, you know, and I really try hard. I give it all I got. I come up with new lines almost every time I deal with them. You know, I'm coming up with something to try to get them to think, you know, to try to get them to use their moral principles, to get them to shake off the politicians' dictates and their policies and their procedures and shit. I mean, they have procedures that are there just to dominate and control and get their victims set up for a fall. You don't want to fall into that trap. So that's why I don't obey unless there's a clarified threat of violence. How bloody are you going to make? Are you going to beat me up? Are you going to tase me? Are you willing to shoot a peaceful person for disobeying you? Yes, I am. Fine. What's the order again? I'll be glad. Oh, you want a license? Let me go get you one. Because I am not going to die for this.
Right.
If I can't win him over, if I die, this guy kills me, then I can't save anyone else.
That's right. That's right. Nobody's good 6 feet under or in a cage.
Right. I'm useless under there, right?
Yeah, we got to think about the longevity of it all, the intergenerational freedom aspect of it. These good people watching live and later, we're the ones, guys. We are the ones we've been waiting for. There's no hero. There's no Q. There's no president. There's no mayor, governor, politician is going to come save us. It's up to you, Robert, and Christina, and Julia, and Benjamin, and everyone else on this call to say, oh gosh, the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, that's who I have to work with. I have to train their mind, their language, their tongue, their courage to go and do these things. And even the mindset, as I mentioned earlier, the idea of, oh, there's a cop, let's go talk to him. Yee. I'm like, oh man, that's crazy business, you know? So how to get to the point, right? Where it's like you approach, ask questions, video record it, and if it gets scary, you say, I am now withdrawing from this contact. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye, right? Because I'm not being detained. I'm not being suspected of a crime. You're initiating the contact, which could be interesting with the DA on Monday because you're going to call up. And I think in California, it's a two-party recording law. So we don't get wiretapping, charges by these criminals. We just let them know for quality assurance we are recording this call. Go ahead, Robert. So that would be the setup for the call to let them know we are recording for quality and training purposes.
And I'm telling you this out of fear for my life because of the violent dictates that hover over our heads.
That's a great case in point. Yeah, that's a great point there.
You rotten bastards, you. I don't suggest doing that. And when you talk with your hands, I don't suggest doing this, even though it's tempting. You don't want to do that. You know, in reality, when these cops do this to you, give me your ID, this, that, and the other thing, morally, you can justify beating the shit out of them. Morally, you can justify shooting and killing them because it's just a stranger with a gun, a delusion of authority, threatening you, a peaceful person with violence. And you can do these things. The problem is we can't do those things because this violent gang is so big and so tough, and they can get away with murder. They get away with murder all the time. So our only option is to win our captors over. Unless there's a better way. That's the only thing I could come up with. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I mean, you got a better way, I'll be glad to follow it. But right now, getting these cops to leave me alone feels great. Teaching other people how to do it, freeing other people from obeying and paying like slaves seems like a good start.
Yep. You ever heard the phrase, you live by the gun, you die by the gun?
Well, yeah, sword,
Yeah.
right? Live by the
Yeah.
sword, die by the sword.
Yep, that's right. So yeah, if they point a gun at me and I point a gun at them, then we both die. But if I don't point anything at them, or I point peace and mutual respect, then eventually they'll point that back. I feel like that is probably more strategic. And there's a great documentary called How to Start a Revolution that shows how dictators were dropped in Tunisia, Ukraine, all these other places by recruiting the enforcement class, because the enforcers are facing the citizens and they're both victims. And they say, hey, enforcer, you're a victim of that politician in that white ivory tower too. So victims should not fight victims. And so they join the same team, and then the dictator has no power when the people won't enforce his dictates.
Well, you know, if the cops enforced every law, everybody would be in jail, including the cops.
Right.
If they enforced every single law, there's a guy who wrote a book, I don't know, it's 3 felonies a day, Silverstein or something like that. And he proved that just on the felony laws, he can prove that everybody commits 3 felonies a day. Right. And it's like, so everything's illegal. They can, and then they can interpret the laws any way they want. Look, if you become a target, there's like absolutely no way you're going to get out of it. They're going to find something. They've done this in the movies, right? Threaten the shop owner. I'll have the IRS come down here and then all these detectives and go through your books. We're going to find something. That's true, because everything's freaking illegal, right? They can use any law anytime they want. They can misinterpret it. They can lock you up. They can put you in a cage if you become a target of theirs. Look at Wesley Snipes. Remember, they locked him up for not paying. And they don't care how peaceful you are, how successful you are. It doesn't matter. They got to keep the slaves in line. The worst thing you can do is go along with it, because then you feed the system that enslaves you. Every single person that obeys right away is making it harder for me to free them. And when you guys get good at this, they'll be making it harder for us to free them. Get you guys out there selling.
Selling peace, free 99.
Dude, I'll tell you, $200 right now to anybody who can video record themselves flipping a cop. $200. I'll send it to you.
Okay, that's cool, man. Let's make a flyer for that, man. $200 reward. It has to be on camera. And what is the concluding metric?
You just need them to agree to a peaceful resolution. You got to put the peaceful option on the table so that they know it's there. You got to do a good peaceful person introduction of yourself. I'm a peaceful person. I've never threatened or harmed another peaceful person in my life. You got to get the basics out there, right? And then you got to get them to commit to a peaceful resolution. That's $200. And I'm telling you, it's not that hard. The first 5-10 minutes, I get them like in 5 or 10 minutes, usually in 5 minutes, I get them to commit to a peaceful resolution. You know, the rest of it, winning them over, that gets a little complicated. It's a lot of psychology, a lot of hostage negotiations involved. A lot of fun, though. I've had some great conversations. I've had cops sit around and talk to me for 45 minutes. Yeah, They get interested afterwards. I love it when they raise their hand and ask questions. It's awesome. But what about, you know, what about it? I mean, any question they have, if it doesn't morally justify violence against a peaceful person, it's meaningless. And I'm sorry about the other lady there, but I was just trying to make the point that that really has nothing to do with getting them to morally justify their behavior. And I've told cops, if I can't morally justify doing what you're doing, then how can you do it? And they don't know. Like I said, the one guy was like the training gives them authority. I'm like, what part of the training gave you a moral right to harm peaceful people for disobedience? I'd like to see is there a section? What day of the training was that? Who was the instructor and why did they lie to you? Tell you, some of it just gets so ridiculous, man. This is, to me, it's simple. I'm sorry to laugh, but because I've been doing it for so long. But once you understand it, once you start flipping cops, you'll laugh too. It's absolutely ridiculous. How it's grown into this, I have no idea. You know, I suspect how this got worse. It was I think it had to do with domestic violence, and then the state attorney, whatever, prosecutor says, well, these women are being abused and they're not pressing charges, so we'll just pick up the charges. I think that happened somewhere in the late 80s, early 90s, or somewhere around that time. And then all of a sudden, the state picked up all the charges, right? Or slowly, I guess, it came about. And now just about everybody, the victim is listed as the state, right? It's all disobedience now. You know, nope, you've got to beg the state for forgiveness because you disobeyed one of their dictates. It's like, you freaking nuts. They don't see how nuts they're acting until I put it back on them. Then they see how crazy it is. I told a prosecutor or public defender once, and I was like, well, wait a minute. If I wrote up a bunch of rules and I gave them to you, and I said, if you disobey any of these, if you don't pay me, then I'm going to grab you, throw you to the ground, chain you up, and lock you in a cage. How would you feel about me? She said she'd think I was crazy. I said, so if I have a badge, it's not crazy? Tell me exactly how that works. Where does the badge make that not crazy? They can't answer. I mean, can any of you?
Do you
Or
ever
even speculate?
No, I have seen the metal badge that says shiny badges don't grant extra rights. But do you ever have that conversation with them on the side of the road about, you don't have any more power or authority over me than I have over you? Do you ever get into that, or you just
I don't pull over on the side of the road. I always go to a gas station or somewhere where it's well lit and there's cameras. I never pull over on the side of the road. I know better than to do that with guys who can get away with killing me.
right? So
but-
you've got to escalate the situation with cameras and other witnesses.
Yeah, I want this on a stage if I could. You know, I want other people around. They watch themselves better when there's people around and cameras are going. You know, not all the time. Yeah, none of this is 100% foolproof. You know, there's too many fools out there to have a foolproof system. But no, I don't pull over on the side of the road. And what was the question then? How do I? Sorry, go ahead. What was your question again about getting pulled over? I forgot.
Oh, do you ever go over the fact that his badge doesn't give him extra authority over
No,
yourself?
you know, I have gotten into conversations with cops on all kinds of different issues. I had one cop debate me on socialism. I don't know how we went down that road, and communism and stuff. I was like, this is not where I wanted to be, but this guy kind of dragged me down this road. And I tried to go back to my moral approach. But I don't want to talk. I try to talk to the human being. I know that this guy thinks he's something he's not. I know he has delusions of authority. I put myself in his shoes, and I just want to talk to the guy, right? And if you can't morally justify doing the violence and all that other stuff, but all that other shit is easy. You don't have to argue those things. The badge is meaningless and that's meaningless. Once he leaves peaceful people alone, it doesn't really matter. See, if you start talking about the badge doesn't give you extra rights, blah, 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 you're making claims, and now you're probably going to get in an argument, and he's going to defend it. He thinks the badge is everything, blah, 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 blah. I really don't want to go down that road. I want to come back to, look, if you can't morally justify it, wouldn't it make you feel better to be peaceful with a peaceful person? Would you not enjoy that more? Come on, man. Get on board. It's really short conversation. You know? What's that?
Yeah. Hey, Charles, you're just joining us here. We've been going for about 2.5 hours here. I don't know if you, if you saw any of the other things, but congratulations, Chuck. You have a baby daughter born yesterday, man.
Yeah. You see my picture?
Yeah, man. Oh, look at that champion. We're going to be teaching her about how having conversations with cops.
Oh yeah, definitely so.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So
Thank
we're just
you.
talking about. Go ahead.
No, continue, please.
Yeah. No, we're just talking about having conversations with cops about violating peaceful people and setting up the words and the mindset. So it's been a powerful conversation that we're recording here that you can continue on if you like here after we finish the call. Yep.
Yeah.
But, Robert, how you doing, man? You doing good over there? I know you're on the East Coast. Do you want to tap out for a little bit, or you want to keep going?
No, I'm good. I just got to let the dog out a little bit. I'm listening. I can talk.
Okay. All right. No, man, I'm winding down. I'm about to grab some food. Christina, how you feeling? 298-988. Richard, how you feeling? Benjamin, how you feeling? Yeah.
I totally I would love to role play just because just to try and like start getting it in my brain. But otherwise, I'm retired and I would love to go eat as well. But this is so fascinating. I feel so blessed and grateful that you did it a second time. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Both. Yeah.
No, you're
Thanks.
welcome. No problem. I enjoyed it. Did you want to role play now? Because I was saying David could pull you over.
Sure.
Okay. Want me to pull you over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to do what Robert does. I'm going to go, like, I'm going to get to like a gas station, I guess. And I'm going to park and like hop out and lock my door, put my key in my pocket, and I'll just be like, I'll be kind of like not crazy, but I'll be talking with my hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, great. So yeah, this is one of the things we just learned here, Charles, and people who are just joining us, is when you get pulled over, don't pull over on the side of the road in the darkness with no lights or no video cameras. Pull over to a gas station where there's video cameras, and you want this to be on a stage so that everybody can see and that you're going to be peaceful and moral. And yeah, Christina, thanks for having the courage to do this. And I'm going to be just a regular cop. Okay, you're a sweet girl, and I'm just gonna be a regular cop. So, all right. So I put the lights on. You pull over at a gas station or somewhere with lights on. You get out and you actually put the keys in your pocket. Is that correct?
I'm gonna lock the door. I'm gonna get out, lock the door, put the key in my pocket. Right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, I do that. Look, let me explain that. I do that because I don't want them in my car. I don't want them sniffing around my car. I don't want to give them reasons or excuses. Oh, it smells like marijuana. Well, you can't smell anything. My windows are rolled up, my car's up, right? It eliminates all those opportunities. So if you can park at a gas station or a bank or whatever it is, and just calmly get out of the car, lock your door, and you could just stand there and wait for them, right? Or even I've walked back to them. They've never said anything. Of course, I'm not black, but I get away with that stuff. So you want to be careful, right? So go ahead and just like pull over and just get out of the car. And like I do when I say, look, I've never had to do it, but if they said, hey, I need to get in your car or whatever, and say, well, I locked my keys in there. I'll lie to them. Don't care. I don't want them in my car, but it's never happened. but I'm saying just in case. So just so you know where I'm coming from. But go ahead. I'm sorry to
I'm
interrupt.
sorry. So what are the rules if they wanted to search your car? They need a warrant? I don't even know what the rules are. The law.
No. I don't care what the rules are. I just don't want them saying I smell weed or I see this
Yeah,
or that.
I get, yeah.
You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? I don't want to leave those out there so they can use them as excuses to start controlling me.
Right.
I try to eliminate all that. So like
Now,
if it goes
Robert-
down that road, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't had to go down that road because I usually get them to leave me alone and let me drive away. But go ahead. Sorry.
Do you speak first or do you wait for them to speak to you?
yeah. Here's how it will go. Okay, ready? We're just gonna jump in, Christina.
Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and go.
We're newbies, we're rookies, we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be totally cool. All right, so all right, miss. I pulled you going 65 in a 55 zone over there. So I'm gonna need to see your ID and registration here.
Okay. Officer Ed, thanks. I can't morally justify providing that to you.
Right. I'd love to help you. I really want to help you. But I can't. Say again.
Okay, I'd love to help you. I'd love to help you out with that, but I can't morally justify providing you with my identification.
I can't here. Hold on a second. Let me
Okay.
interrupt. Okay, look, don't call him officer. I don't do that. No officer. That doesn't help your case, right? It's just some stranger with a gun thinking that he owns you, right? Think from that mindset. And now he's saying, I need to see your ID. You just simply say, I would if I could, but I can't morally justify obeying you and condoning threats of violence against a peaceful person. You wouldn't want me to do that, would you? I know it's a mouthful. I know. You have to practice.
Okay, I would if I could. What's the
But
next
it
part?
would violate my moral principles.
But I can't yeah, it would violate my moral principles if I did. You wouldn't want me to do that, would you?
Okay, I would if I could, but it would violate my moral principles to do that. You wouldn't want me to do that, would you?
Well, I don't know what you mean, miss. I'm just, you're breaking the law here. So I'm going to, do you have an ID?
Well, I can't,
You're doing great. You're doing great, Christina.
no. What I was gonna say is that, basically, I mean, it's neither here nor there whether I have one. It would violate my moral principles to comply with you. I would totally love to help you out, but I can't.
Nice, that's good. Well, miss, I don't know why you're making it so hard. It's just a little citation. Okay, I'm gonna get you a citation. Your signature isn't an admission of guilt. So in order for me to give you that citation, I'm gonna need your ID with your home address. In fact, if you just give me your first and last name and your date of birth, we'll find it over there. Can you just give me your date of birth, ma'am?
Well, the thing is, I'm a peaceful person, and I think, I mean, wouldn't you feel better being peaceful with a peaceful person? I'm just trying to travel here. I'm going to see a friend, and I'm an extremely safe driver, and I just don't see how you can morally justify asking me for that information.
Or try this. Say, so now are you insisting that I go against my moral principles? Would you do that if I asked you to go against your moral principles? Would you do it? Put it back on him.
Okay. Are you insisting that I violate my moral principles?
Ma'am, I'm not insisting you violate your moral principles. I am saying you broke the law, and I'm just doing my job. You're making it really difficult. I don't want to have to arrest you. I don't want to have to, call for backup. It's very simple. You'll be out of here in 5 minutes. Can I just get your driver's license and registration, and you'll be on your way. And then you can go to court and you can fight the judge and the law in court.
Well, I wonder, I mean, are you threatening me with harm? I mean, I'm a peaceful person here. And I mean, how can you morally justify insisting I comply with this information. Or
Well,
something.
ma'am, when you got a driver's license, that means you're gonna agree to the rules of the road. And so you broke the rule. It's not a big deal. Okay, it's gonna be less than 10 miles over the speed limit. It's probably not even gonna be a point. You know, you can go to traffic school and you know, it'd be a small little fine, but nobody's hurt. So, you know, it's great. You know, that's what we're out here doing. We're protecting lives out here. And you know, I really don't want to, you know, arrest you, ma'am. So I'm gonna need to see your ID. Okay, so give me your ID and registration.
Well, I mean, once again, I just, are you saying that I go against my moral principles? Because I'm just a very peaceful, moral person, and I would prefer not to do that. But if you threaten me with harm, I'm gonna have to reconsider if I can stick with this. But basically, are you suggesting I violate my moral principles?
Yeah, she's refusing to identify. Ma'am, we're gonna ask you one more time, okay? You know, we've been nice, we've been polite, but you have an obligation to identify yourself when you're out here driving on the road. So I'm calling for backup and you know, giving you forewarning. We may have to pull you out of your vehicle to identify you. So just make it easy on yourself and just hand over your identification, your registration. We'll get your citation. You'll be on your way.
So could you clarify your threat of violence against a peaceful person such as myself?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I was going to tell you that.
That's
Thank
a
you.
great phrase. Can you clarify your threats of violence against a peaceful person? Nice. Well, ma'am, I have a duty to uphold here, keeping the streets and the roads safe, and you're putting people at risk, so we can't let you drive around here, you know, at any speed you want. You know, it would be anarchy out here if everybody could just drive and do whatever they want. And so that's why we're here. So I'm not going to use violence on you, but you're going to force me to use violence on you. I got, you know, more cars coming. So you need to hand me your identification. You need to identify yourself, or you're probably going to go to jail tonight.
Well, I would just suggest that your badge does not give you extra authority over me. Like I said, I'm a peaceful person, and I think I'm talking with a peaceful person. And you
Can
know,
I
we both
interrupt?
do. And
Let me put the camera on. Look, you
You're doing
see
good.
how
Christina, that was great.
you see how he's like trying to sell you on taking the tickets.
Yeah.
Cops do that to me all the time. They always try to sell me on doing it. Doing what, look, just take the tickets. You can fix the get your tag, get your license fixed, go to court. They'll drop the whole thing. I'm like, why should I have to do any of those things? I haven't harmed anybody. I haven't threatened to harm anybody. I'm the only one being threatened with harm right now. Right. So you want to get down to the basics of what's going on. Because this is like going on forever. He's trying to sell you on taking the tickets, and you're trying to sell him on not doing it. And now you're resorting to the badge thing, where you should be demanding that he clarify his threat of violence, and then try right after that, try to say, hey, wouldn't it be better if we work towards a peaceful resolution to this? Fair enough.
Mhm.
And you get better as you go. I'm not picking on you. You're doing great. You just, yeah, the more you do it, the better you'll be more comfortable with it.
Christina, was that fun?
So much fun. I cannot wait to do it again. No, I love
Dude,
it.
you know, it's so funny because once I'm doing it with you and I got Robert there helping me, and I'm thinking like the cop, and you're going through, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really get the mindset of a cop. I got to get her information, and I'm like using all my psychological manipulation. How can I get this sweet girl to give me the identification? Where if it was a man, right, then it's like more like, oh, you got to do it, and they raise their voice and they start threatening you. So that was really powerful. So that was great.
Like, I mean,
Yeah,
the
that
thing
was
is,
awesome.
well, thanks, but you guys gotta understand, I talk to cops like every time I go out to do a protest. I'm talking to cops, so I've gotten very comfortable, you know, talking with them. So
Well, I say we put David and Christina in competition with each other to produce the first video of flipping a cop and getting them to commit to a peaceful resolution.
Nice.
Well,
Let me clarify the reward. Okay. You said $200.
$200.
And what are the stipulations? What so you said get a commitment to a peaceful resolution, is that right?
Yeah, you've got to put the peaceful option on the table so they're aware of it. You've got to, you know, persuade them a little bit, right? I mean, to pick the peaceful option. You can't just say, here's a peaceful option, I get $200. That's not going to work. You got to use a little bit of persuasion there, right? And then you want to get them to commit to a peaceful resolution. That's worked for me almost every time. It's just like, listen, can I count on you to work with me toward a peaceful resolution to this? And then when they say yes, you've got ammunition for later if they try to turn on you. Say, whoa, wait a minute, you're talking about the law again. Earlier you committed to a peaceful resolution. But for now, let's just get, if I get a video of you guys talking to the cop and the cop agrees, and yeah, I give $200 for that video. Hell yeah.
All
That'd
right.
be great.
Okay, so all right, Christina.
Get out there and
now
get
we have
those
an
cops.
opportunity. Yeah. I hope you win, Christina, because you know, hey, you deserve the money, and I'll take $200. But it's more, I think, more powerful to get it on video, and you know, we'll open it up to the next call as well, so we can get more people out there, because it's going to be, first of all, to get the commitment will be a challenge. We can do it, as Robert's proven, and you know, we're realizing here, and then the video record it, because
yeah,
they're not going to do it if we're like this, right? They got to do it where it's like it's holding like this, you know, like this, like that. Otherwise, or like a body cam or something, you know, because this ain't going to work, I think, because they don't want to be exposed. And this is part of what we're trying to do is, I think, Robert, is expose the immorality of what they're doing. And if they can admit that on camera, that might be their job, right? I mean, that might get them fired. Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, when I first started this, you know, I was getting them to quit because they couldn't morally justify doing the job anymore. And then someone had told me that if they quit, they'll just replace them with younger, evil, possibly more evil guys. So then I thought, well, what do I like about cops? Well, some people really need to be able to call somebody with guns because they don't have guns, or they're old or decrepit and can't defend themselves. And so, okay, I'm with you when it's that. I'm on your side, man. I got you back. You can call me for help anytime. But if you're threatening peaceful people with violence, I can't support that. You understand why, right? And then that gets them to open up, and they're like, yeah, you know, I can't morally justify it. Can you?
Right.
Yeah, this will be great. I mean, once we get a couple of them on video, their eyes opening up, and then watch the Joe Lopez, just the last 10 minutes or 20 minutes of it. And you can see in his eyes that he got caught, and it was just he had to just rear back, and just like he had to admit it. There's just no way out of this. You know, they either have to admit they're an evil piece of shit or choose the peaceful option, and nobody loses. Everybody wins.
well, David, I hope you win, because you've been at this for so long and you made this training possible. So it only makes sense.
Well, how
I
about
want
this?
no. I
Let's
want
split it
Christina
right
to
now,
win.
Christina. 100 for you, 100 for me. Let's just go out and have some fun, because this is
Sure.
like I'm not doing it for money. I'm trying to do it for the skills, because the skills pays the bills. $200 is nice. I love it. I receive it. But we're trying to play a higher game. We want to play for thousands and tens of thousands. We're playing for something more than the
Yeah.
money. This is so important. Money cannot be quantified. So it's like, I mean, that video alone has got to be worth like $10,000, you know, like in terms of value. It's like more than that. It's like $1 million video, man. To
Yeah,
get
it's going to help a lot of people. Think of all the people it's going to help. Put a value on that.
Right.
You know, when people see it's possible, better yet, when cops see the video and go, wow, I can use my discretion and never bother another peaceful person again. My life is more peaceful now.
Mhm.
Put yourself in a cop's shoes that's done this job for years and then realizes this, and how much of a burden is relieved from them when they realize they can just resort to their moral principles. Look, no harm's been done. I do no harm. Look how simple this is. Oh my God. I could have done this whole time, and it took David or Christina to flip me, to get me to realize that I could be a better person. I mean, I want you to compete, man. I want one of you to win. Only one of you gets $200. Sorry.
Hey, so David, I got a question for you. That dash cam video you have, can you flip it around so it can record? It can record going this way or facing you.
Yep, it has two cameras, one out and one in.
Okay, so that's one way to get that on tape, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
video.
That's true. Yep, that's true. And we're working on the hidden camera situation. You know, there's glasses, you know, you can wear sunglasses and they have like a camera there. There's probably like a hat camera. You ever seen the guys Project Veritas?
Yeah.
Yeah, Project Veritas. They do great undercover. I think they have like the button-up shirt. They got a little camera on the black button. So, you know, I think I'm gonna look into that too, because after some of these videos go viral, these cops probably are never gonna want to have these conversations again, Robert. I mean, once one of these videos goes super viral and the cops admitting to it, I mean, that might block us somehow, but we got to figure a way around it, you know, because
No,
I
but
guess,
What do you mean?
I think they're ready to be killed with kindness. I'm actually getting the impression that they're just as fed up as we are.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them are. You know, they're disgusted. Their hands are tied. Like I said, put yourself in their shoes. Imagine being a cop who really does want to help people, and you got to
Yeah.
work with a bunch of pricks that are hurting people, and you can't do anything about it. But now you can. Now you can ask them to morally justify it and try to win them over.
Mm-hmm.
You'll put the peaceful option out there and offer them a chance at a more peaceful life. If they don't take it, then out them as the assholes that they are.
Yeah.
Start
Hey,
cleaning house.
just as a practical measure, just because I like to be prepared, like, David, would you mind talking about any tips and tricks for being kidnapped? Because they threatened to kidnap me today or arrest me for trespassing at this you know, peaceful protest we were having, and I totally knew that we were not trespassing, and you know, I didn't have all the terminology, but we ended up just moving, you know, like 20 feet, so it wasn't a big deal. Like, but I definitely was like, well, what can I expect from that? Like, I was ready to be arrested only because on principle, you know, I don't really feel like I should have to move 20 feet for my protest, but I was just curious. Like, I've heard things like, you know, you should have a phone number memorized. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely have somebody's phone number memorized, because there's going to be a collect call in the jail and you're going to want to call somebody. But before that, so I'll tell you one story. We went to a farmer's market. This is 3 or 4 months ago, maskless, right? We had 18 people there, I think.
Yeah, I remember.
And
Which market?
that was in Santa Cruz, California. And basically, we went out there, and it's a public accommodation, all this lawful stuff. Long story short, we weren't breaking the law. The cops didn't know the law, and they started reaching for me. They're reaching for Charles over here. They're reaching for his lady, you know, all of us, you know. And so I saw the cops looking, they were scanning. They were literally going to kidnap us for being in open air farmer's market without a mask. So I saw the glisten in their eye, and I said they're about to kidnap us. So I started withdrawing, because I've been arrested all these times, and it's like, it sucks. You got to sleep on a concrete slab. It's cold. They give you crap food. It's not fun, right? So I started like pulling my people away. And so number one is try not to get arrested. If you see it, if you can avoid it, don't spend your night in jail. It's not fun. It's not worth it. And we're trying to get justice, you know, like if they totally violated us and all these different things, but am I going to get justice? Am I going to get a, you know, $100,000 lawsuit, you know, $70,000 lawsuit, $1 million? I don't know. Are these guys going to serve time in jail for violating me? Probably not, right? We're dealing with organized crime here. So one, have a number memorized just in case. Try to avoid being arrested. Then once they do put their hand on you, that's when I go limp like a noodle, because as soon as they grab me now and they go like this, that is called false imprisonment. So I'm learning about the law stuff, and so I should probably say have it on video. So anytime you think you're about to get arrested, video recorded immediately, and that's the number one thing. So video record, have a phone number memorized, try not to be arrested in the first place, go to a lighted area with witnesses, right? You want to be in a public area. But they grab you, I just go limp because I don't never want them to say he was resisting arrest. Literally, if they grab me, if you just go like that, if you just pull away, they can pull out a fucking club and go and do that. Now, they might not do it to a girl, you know, but to a man who has a loud voice, they would love to do that. Some of these corrupt guys, right? Some of the nice guys don't want to, but still, these guys broke my window. The guy who broke my window on camera, we went to the police department, tried to get the police report, which they didn't still give to me. And I said, you're the guy who broke my window. He said, you should have pulled over. Just like that. You should have pulled over. And it was just like nonchalant, couldn't even care less. It's going to cost me $300 to repair this freaking window. So those are some of the tips and trips. Grab it, go limp, and hopefully have it on camera. Somebody documented it. And I mean, those are some of the tips there. Robert, you got any tips? I mean, you're a big man, Robert, it looks like. I don't know how big you are, but you know, they're probably intimidated by you. So they're probably got the tasers out and the batons and everything to get you, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm 6'4". I was 300 pounds for a while. I'm down around 230 now. But yeah, they'll use that they're scared of me, you know, because I'm so tall. That's why I don't get too close to them, you know. That was before COVID. I don't know what's going on. I haven't been pulled over in the mask era, so I don't know what's going on now. But back then, you know, I don't want to tower over them. So I always keep my distance. So we're just kind of eye level, right? Because I am a big guy. If you're a small person, then, you know, there's nothing you can do. Stand up on a curb, I guess.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm not 6'4". But I think it works in my favor that I'm not that big, because it's the big guys are like, all right, we need 3 guys here. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, because they know you're like freaking, you know, Goliath over there. You could just like rip off the thing. Whereas
how much backup do you need for a peaceful person that's disobeying some dictates?
About
I mean,
4
why?
cop cars, 4 to 5 or 6 cop cars every time someone calls on me. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, they had a dozen. They had a dozen on me. No harm done, but they could have a whole posse there, and within seconds for the disobedient.
Yeah.
I question that. I asked them that. How can you justify that? Right now, I can see if there was a rapist or a murderer or somebody on the loose, some wild, crazy guy, blood in his, you know. Yeah, I understand it, but they're doing that to peaceful people for disobedience. Or for not giving them money. That's where the problem is. It's not being brought out. Everyone's arguing the law when the law says this and this, and the natural law is against it. Law. It's not going anywhere, right? The cops aren't being more peaceful by people arguing the law. They're just getting worse because you're cooperating with their system. You're participating in it. I don't want them any form of participation. And any participation that I am, I can sit there and say that I was coerced into doing it. You know, I'm doing it against my will. I'm doing it to protect my safety. And you do that in court. If it goes to court, you just sit there and say, look, I'm here against my will. I'm being threatened with violence. And one judge says, well, who's threatening you with violence? I was like, you. You're the one that said, if I don't show up, you're going to send men with guns to rip down my door and chain me up and cage me and drag me back here. Tell me what part of that isn't violent. And he stood up out of his dress and said, get out of my courtroom. I said, I didn't want to be here in the first place. You know, they threw me out of court like 8 times. And I'm like, why don't you just quit telling me to come here?
It's all about,
you know, it's either come to court or we'll send men to your house with guns. So I'm here so my house doesn't get raided. Because the court, you know, the judges will ask you when you sign a guilty plea, has anyone threatened or put you under duress or coerced you? Yeah, you, the prosecutor, your armed guards, just about everybody in this building. Any other questions? I'm here against my
Powerful.
will. I'm here
Right.
against my will. Someone's threatening me with violence. Now, if you're going to protect peaceful people, tell me what you're going to do about yourself.
Is that
I
why they
heard
gave
that
you
it was
five different judges?
Yep, they kept switching judges. New judge every time I went back in there. They kept throwing me out and switching judges. They didn't know what to do with me. I was like, how about you just stop?
A friend told me
You got a
that
question,
the
Chuck?
best way to. Oh yeah, my friend said actually pretty much like a statement. Like my friend, you know what I mean. He's pretty intelligent brother. He told me the best way to get them in line is to put their professionality on the line. Like put it out there, air it out there. Like, oh, sir, I thought that you were a professional. And they're like, oh, I am a professional. Well, I don't see professional conduct happening as of right now. Oh, well, and then they'll kind of, calm down when their professionalism is seen as non-existent.
Yeah, appeal to the professional, kind of like.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I thought they were going to be professionals when I first started going to court defending myself. It was ridiculous, man. They broke down like babies. And I got on, did a radio interview and told them that they broke down like babies. I couldn't believe it. I was standing there thinking, I'm a professional. I was a general manager for Syntax Homes, man. I recruited, hired, trade salespeople. I opened up sales offices. I'm very professional. I was in there dressed to the T, very respectful, asking for the evidence, and they started crying. He won't play by our rules. I'm like, but what is wrong with you people? I caught you. You didn't obey your own rules. Now drop the charges. It's real simple. They wouldn't do it, man. They just kept crying and whining like little babies. And then they called me up and said to take the video down, to tell this guy to take the video down. I said, why? And this is the supervisor of public defenders. She was standby counsel. She didn't represent me. She was just there to answer my questions. She says, take it down. You called everyone you called us a bunch of babies. I said, look, I call them as I see them. I can't help it. That's what you guys acted like. I'm not going to pull it down. Oh, but the prosecutor is going to use that to do this and that. I said, I don't care. I'm facing 45 years. Go ahead, stack it on up. I'm going to keep talking the truth and telling the truth, no matter how much they try to silence me.
Yeah.
And they were a bunch of babies. Professionalism is bullshit. There is no professionalism, not even in the paid lawyers. They're a bunch of crooks too. They're all part of the same gang. They're all bar members. It's the bar members versus the disobedient.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude, when you pay a lawyer, when you get a lawyer or a public defender, their job is to get you prosecuted without any appealable errors. They don't give a shit about you. They'll take your money.
Right.
But they're a bar member, man. They're loyal to that judge and that prosecutor.
Right.
Yeah,
They want
I
that
learned
guilty
the hard
plea.
way.
They want that.
They want that guilty plea, and they'll get it. Even if they have to have you hire one of their gang members to get it, they'll do it.
I got a felony, so yep. They'll get it if they want it.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying you could go pay a private lawyer, and all you're doing is paying one of
I
them
did.
to make sure you're
I
prosecuted.
did pay, and that's what I learned. I did learn that he was on their side.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry you had to learn it that way.
If I had 15 grand, at the time to just throw out there, I would have had a guy who would have got me off like right there. I would have been home like in a week.
Well, this is what we're realizing, man. This is what we're realizing. We can't hire these guys. We have to do our own law stuff, right? This is what Teresa's learning, and myself and other people. We're learning about the law, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to hire a bar attorney because they're trying to make me get a plea deal, right? They want me to plea, and they want to have the high, prosecution rate. Oh, I have a 90%, 95%. It's like, how about justice, man? You want justice? Or it's like they have all these statistics that's very hard to quantify. It's like the numbers. It's like, no, we're dealing with human life.
I thought about the numbers, right? The prosecutors bragging about 70, 80% close, prosecuting people. And I'm in sales. And I'll tell you what, if you can close 20%, you're doing great. If you can close 25%, you're a superstar.
Right,
Dude,
right.
if you're closing 80%, you're a fucking criminal. You're fucking doing something. You're fucking somebody over to
Right.
get to 80%. Right. And that's what they're doing. They're screwing over the weak and the broke people, the poor people, and they're coercing them into pleading guilty.
Right.
And they've got the whole system is rigged,
There's a
you
court
know,
system.
and that's why I say I challenge jurisdiction, right? If I'm forced to go into their system and there's a clear threat of violence, then I'll simply say, go ahead and show me the evidence that establishes jurisdiction, and I'll go ahead and sign a guilty plea. And I had an unsigned plea of guilty in my hand. I said, I'll sign it. I'll sign guilty if you can put the evidence of jurisdiction on the table and the witnesses that are required to back up all evidence. No evidence goes into court without a witness to back it up. So if they have evidence that those laws apply to you, they have to have the witnesses to back that evidence up too. But no, they won't do it. They'll just keep switching judges and switching prosecutors and try over and try another angle and add more charges and threaten me more. Dude, it was horrible challenging jurisdiction. That's why I'd rather do my moral approach, because then you don't have to go through any of that crap.
Right, right. And you stand on the truth.
Yeah, man, they can't, it's, you're not even making any claims. You're not even saying that this is right or this is wrong. You're not saying anything. You're asking them to morally justify it. So that puts it on them, and it's an answer they got to listen to and stick with. And then every time you ask them a question, and if they don't answer, it's an answer. That's why this is so good. Because if they just keep avoiding it, you can bring that up, say, well, listen, I had a question, just like when I went to court, I had my questions written down and I would not get off that question because there's such professionals at throwing you off your track, throwing you off your game, throwing all kinds of stuff at you. And then my answer is always, you didn't answer the question. And they do that in court too. You know, lawyers do that when they put them on the stand and they go rambling on and they go right back to that question. I'm not doing anything new. I'm just doing it back to them, right? So go ahead and answer that question before we move on. You know, how do you morally justify threatening a peaceful person? Say, and I tell the judge, say, look, there's a peaceful option on the table. What are you going to do? Which one are you going to choose? You can choose the law as an excuse to harm a peaceful person, or you can use your discretion and be peaceful with a peaceful person. Which one are you going to publicly choose on the record? Right now on camera.
Right. That's great. Yeah.
You got to pick one. Okay, you're going to pick the law. That's great. So how bloody are you willing to beat a peaceful person to prove your point? I'm just wondering, because I'm not going to obey unless there's a clarified threat of violence. So you're going to chain me up and lock me in a cage and beat me up with a, you know, taser me or shoot me. I'm just wondering, are you willing to shoot a peaceful person to prove your point? I'm just kind of trying to figure out what kind of person you are, Judge. I never called him Judge, by the way. I never called him. I didn't like any of the crap. You know, I said, sir, was about it. I talked with respect like I would any prospect, and I tried to sell them, and I couldn't sell them on jurisdiction. But I'll tell you what, when I started using my moral approach, when I started pointing out the violence, that's when I knew I was onto something. You know, to make this a thing other people could learn to do, is bring out that violence. You know, you're sitting there in court arguing over the badge or the law or natural law or whatever. You're in their system. You're in that cesspool of shit now. But if you're standing there going, how do you morally justify the threats of violence that forced me to be here today? Well, the law says this. Okay, how can you morally justify threatening a peaceful person with violence to force me to be here today? Yeah, but this, yeah, but that. Again, how do you morally justify it? I need an answer. You got to hold their feet to the fire, man. You got to say, listen, there's threats of violence right now. I got to resolve them first. Then we can move on, right? And then where do they want you to move on to if you resolve that? Because once you resolve that, they have to go away. It's the only way to resolve it. I mean, unless you could be more violent than them, but I doubt that's going to happen. Right? So it's either a peaceful resolution or their violence are the only options. Someone talk. I'm tired of talking.
No, we're good, man. No, you be going long, man. I'm gonna jump off here. I'm gonna gotta grab some food here, and I'm sure you guys
Yeah,
gotta
food would be
continue
nice.
on. So let's continue. Are we gonna do it next week again?
So
Robert, you want to go next
Good.
week?
I'll do this anytime, any day with anybody, whenever they want to do it. I put my number in the chat,
Okay, great.
and
So
I'll be glad to teach anyone at any time. But yeah, you want to keep doing a Friday thing. You know, I'm missing my other meeting though. I usually have a 7 o'clock out here in the East Coast
Okay.
with a lawyers group, and I'm missing it every weekend. So
okay,
I don't know.
let's
That's
find a
at
better time
7.
then. Let's find a better
That's
time.
from 7 to 8 this time. So I'm thinking like I could come on right after 8 o'clock.
5 p.m., 5 or 5:30.
And what is that? You're 3, so that would be 5 for you.
Yeah, we can do that. Want to do 5:30 or 5 p.m.?
Right, I'm from 7 to 8 Eastern, so I'm available at 8 o'clock Eastern, 8, 9, 10. I could do 3 hours, 8, 9, 10, the 2 hours. 11. I could go 3 hours possibly every Friday. Just let's move it to after 5 your time so I can go back to that other meeting that I have every Friday.
Okay,
Is that
we'll do
okay? 5
yeah,
your
5
time?
p.m. Yeah, 5 p.m. over there. All right, Christina, Charles, Richard, Benjamin, you're joining us. Hey there, man. Do you have any
Hey.
questions for Robert on the way out, or how you feeling?
No, I don't. I was just listening in. I know I didn't say anything today, but I super appreciate it. Had my hands full, was trying to catch a bit here and there, but
Cool.
yeah, it was awesome. I hadn't heard this before, anything like this, so I was just trying to suck it all in.
Right on, man. Well, I'm glad you're here. You made it to the end with Christina. Chuck came in, and Julia's here. Richard, awesome. So, Robert, we're gonna join you here 5 p.m. Pacific next Friday, 8 p.m. your time, Eastern time. You guys are visionaries. A lot of respect, a lot of appreciation, a lot of love for you guys. And congratulations, Chuck, on your new daughter. And hey, man, that's the visionary right there. You have a indigo young daughter. That's what I believe, man. A powerful young seed. You and your lady, congratulations. And Robert, thanks for being a champion of freedom. Thanks for joining us on the Freedom Lovers Show. We're building a voluntary world, one relationship at a time. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for being here. You guys are great.
thank you.
Keep up the good work, my friend.
Thank